Good morning. Good morning and happy Saturday. Hi. Hello. We'll give the YouTube a second here to catch up with me, or for me to catch up with it. It's one way or the other, right? Some dirty glasses today. I'll explain why, probably. All right, hang tight, hang to wait. We're just waiting. I mean, I know you guys, I can see you here. You can probably see me here. Oh, here we go. I think we're just about ready. It just takes a second. And then silly ad, and then here we go. There we are. Hello. Hi, guys. Happy Saturday. How are we today? What's it looking like in your world? Is it sunny? Is it snowy? Is it dark? Some of you it's dark because you're in other parts of the world with our time change, right? All right, friends. Hello, and happy Saturday. Welcome. Nice to have you here. If we haven't met before, my name is Lael Kankar, and I have a business called Lael by Mail. When I'm not traveling or moving to a new warehouse or going to Seattle for the wedding of our first son, all things that are coming in the next couple of weeks, we're here on Saturday mornings doing what I like to call creative listing. It is a totally different way of documenting your life, your world. It's super approachable because all we're basically doing is we're making a list, right? We can all make a list. We all grew up making lists, whether it's a to-do list or a shopping list or a spelling list, a Christmas wish list, whatever your list is. But we kind of take that concept of making lists and we have fun with it. So I always publish our listing topics a couple of days in advance on the blog at laelbymail.com. Email goes out. You can sign up for notifications on YouTube. There's lots of different ways to make sure that you don't miss what we're doing here on a Saturday. But when we get together on Saturday and we work on our creative lists, we are playing. We're having a lot of fun playing. I make the lists live. Some of you list with me, some of you don't. Some of you list at other times. Some of you watch live. Some of you watch the replay. But we have a lot of fun. Other than kind of roughly sketching out what I think I'm going to do, none of it is pre-planned, so it is all just kind of working on the fly, and whatever happens, happens. And sometimes we learn that way, right? As I am working, I try to kind of let you know what my thought process is, why I'm doing this versus this, why I might try this and go, oh, I don't like that, but why I don't like it, and just kind of tell you about my process, the products I use, and so forth. Speaking of the products I use, I have a website, laelbymail.com. You will find that linked in the description box of the video. I should say, probably more importantly, a link to the products I am using on today's session. So if you see me use something and you're like, oh, I want to know more about that, I want to see it, I maybe want to see some other examples of how either Lael or maybe someone on Lael's creative team has used it, that's a great place to go. There's a live chat that takes place as we're working, and that is a great place for you to pop in and say hello. So if you're here live and you have not said hello, I would love it if you would pop in and say hello. If you want to tell us your name or where you're from or just say hi, whatever it is, that is how it's really easy for me to communicate with you guys personally, because right now it's just me talking in a room by myself with the cat out there, hopefully staying out there and not bugging us. He's been on one this morning, that little Reggie. So pop in the chat. In a minute, I will kind of divert my eyes. We'll see who's in the chat. We'll say hello, and then we'll dive in. We'll talk about some announcements. We'll take a quick look at the brand new Lael by Mail products that released earlier this week, and then we will dive right in. If you're watching the replay, welcome to you. Just as fun to have you here watching the replay as if you were live with us. So if you're watching the replay, do me a favor, leave a comment so I know that you were here. And then the last thing, well, never the last thing. Nick, my husband, probably tell you I always have to have the last word. So here I get to have the last word because you guys can't talk back to me, right? You can't respond. What was that last word? Oh yeah, thumbs up if you're here watching, even if it's for 1 second. Just take a quick little action, thumbs up. That's super appreciated. That is one of the best ways that you can interact with any content creator that you follow. Thumbs up, a like, a share, whatever it is. All right, so let me take a quick look over at the chat. Let's see who's here, and then we'll dive in, okay? Because we've got some things to do today. I know, Terry, if you haven't already asked, we do have kind of a time limit today. We've started the move to the warehouse, but we haven't started the move yet. Nick and I were there probably, we were there for 2.5 hours yesterday waiting for some shelves from Costco to be delivered. And of course they were late. So it was more like 1 to 4, 3, more like 3 hours. They were late, and so, but it's good. You know what? I sat in the car and worked because we don't have Wi-Fi yet in the new space. That's all happening over the next 2 weeks. But Nick and I were there last night. I'm not going to be able to move. I'm telling you guys, I'm not going to be able to move tomorrow night, Sunday night. I did more manual labor than I have done in, I don't know, probably 30 or 40 years. I washed the majority of the walls in the warehouse. And let me tell you, warehouse is, yeah, it's going to be beautiful and amazing. I'll kind of share pictures along the way. Sam, our younger son, and my husband Nick are there now. Nick left the house at 8 a.m. and he's like, you better not be doing a 5 or 6 hour today, honey, because Sam and I are going to need lunch. So we'll do our best to try to stick to 3 hours. And, I said, hey, there's always Uber Eats too, All right, so let's check the chat and then we'll get going, okay? All right. So let's see who we have here. Good morning, Carrie Meredith from Oregon coast, right? Oregon. Yeah. I will also tell you, and it's just like any other night when we're together, day when we're together, the night before, went to sleep around 10. The cat decided to wake me up at 11 and again at 12. And then I woke myself up at 1 and couldn't go back to sleep. So I probably read for about an hour or two and then finally fell back to sleep. So it's always running on fumes and coffee around here. That's just what it is. Hello, Emma Rosario at Scrapbook Retreat in the Outer Banks. Outer Banks. On my bucket list, I want to go to the Outer Banks. I've been to Kiowa Island, I think. Is that North Carolina? North or South? Maybe that's South. Anyhow, that's pretty much the only place I've been in that area-ish. But have an amazing time. I'm sure you'll have so much fun. Hello, Amy. Amy is here. Amy is my right hand. Thank you for joining us, Amy, as I am working with product. Amy will be providing links in the chat. So it's really easy for you to click on something and it'll take you right to the website. And if you're not watching live and you're watching the replay, you can still find those products super easily. So thanks, Amy. She said, beautiful, warm, wait. Oh, she hopes we're all staying warm and cozy, but I'm pretty sure she's already warm and cozy because she lives in Arizona. And it's that beautiful time of year when we all wish we lived there because it's like, I don't know, we finally got snow, maybe like 6 inches of snow outside. So at this point, I wish I was, in Arizona with Amy because it'd be fun. Hi, Pam. Good morning. Pam is on the treadmill. I love that for you, Pam. That's great. What a great way to make that time go faster, right? Watch something that, is entertaining, assuming that I'm entertaining. Hello, Belinda from far too warm Louisiana. Kelly Martin, hello from snowy Massachusetts. Belinda Keller, she's getting her car repaired this morning, so she's happy you can multitask. Now, am I with you like in the waiting room? Hopefully I'm not, on speaker, so all of the people around can hear me. Hopefully you've got your little, I don't care, but they probably do. They would probably rather not hear that. Carrie said, cold in Oregon. They've avoided the snow. Hello, Charlene from Plattsmouth, Nebraska. Donna from Tampa, Florida. Carrie's trying to get craft room a bit tidy before we start. Constant battle. I'm telling you what. I think we all agree. And it doesn't matter where you craft, what kind of craft space you have, whether it's a room, whether it's a dining room table, whether it's on your bed, whether it's in the seat of your car. And you guys all follow me here, right? Sometimes we do those things. But it's always a battle. It's always a battle no matter how much space you have and how many little space you have. I think it's always a battle trying to keep things clean and organized, but that's part of the fun. So good luck to you, Carrie. Hi, Patricia, good morning from Nevada. Debbie Flanagan from cold Las Vegas at 43 degrees. Wanda from Tennessee, hello. Jackie Brennan from chilly Henderson, Nevada. Paper Made Bakery from sunny San Diego. KNBC Nor, hello from a snowy Northeast. Good morning, Gabby. Nice to see you. Hello, my friend Vicki Booten. Hello. Nice to have you joining us, friend. Laura from sunny but cold Colorado. Dreary, gray, and cold here. Black. Well, Vicki, I know you had an amazing sunshine for a couple days, which I'm so proud of you for doing. So I guess that Mother Nature's paying you back, right? Because that's what Mother Nature does to us. We same thing. Nick and I were in Hawaii. He on a business trip. Me, playing the, the lovely wife, I guess. But yeah, nice warm weather, and then came back and it snowed. But that's okay because we really needed it. Let's see. Of course I love you. And I think Vicky's probably long gone. She said, off to work, watch, and add my 2 cents. LOL. Leo loves you. I love you, my friend. Hello, Mary Pat, Dawn, Marion by the Sea. Hello, Marion. Nancy from Boulder City, Nevada. She drives the queen of the squirrels nutty. Well, and it's a we do it to each other, right? We drive each other nutty all the time. We're very similar, but we're also very different, which makes a great friendship. Uh, Hello, Kathy from Southern California. Deborah, I'm so happy to see you. It feels like it's been a little while, so hello to you and hello to Joshua too. Carrie, Tammy, Jody Biz, Wendy McTurk. Hello, Becky Moore. Moore and Squirrel Squad from Snowy, Montana. Becky's my graphic designer, if you didn't know that. And I love having her here because it's always fun. I will tell you, both Becky and Amy, they do not have to be here. They choose to be here, so it's always fun to have them join us. Martine, oh, and you know what? We're going to take a look at the new stamps for just a few minutes once we get going, and then you can send all the praise to the team because it's a team effort as we, design new products and all of the things. Jolene Glow, hello. Debbie Watson, hi. Oh, Debbie, the Demas, I love that. Debbie and Emma, the Demas. I love that. From also, you guys are together on your in the North Banks. Love it. Hello, Shirley. Hi, Big Cheryl. I always love it when you pop in and say hello. Hello, Terry. Debbie, I love it. Debbie is showing everyone her year in review. I love that you do that because I know how a couple of them might go, oh, what is that all about? I might need that. And then they come visit me. And I love it when you guys do that. Thank you. Hello, Pirate Wench. Diane. Kathy, it's funny. I'm trying to sift through people that I've already said hello to. Hello, Elizabeth Stobbs. Lunar Stall, Chipped in Time. Miss Crocker and more. I will tell you. So, Deborah just said I need to place my order. I'm going to tell you guys something that is very crazy that has been happening. And if you've been with me for the last probably 1 to 2 months, I've kind of talked about this a little bit. Something very bizarre is happening. I guess I shouldn't call it bizarre, but you guys are selling me out of things incredibly quickly. We sold out of the winter spring season pass in 2 weeks. It's back in stock, but we restocked, but it won't be restocked again. So if you've been like, oh, I'm going to pick that up at some point, I'm going to tell you do it sooner than later. Same thing with year in review. You sold us out of that in 2 weeks, and normally I plan on having enough of those to last us through September. So you sold us out of those in 2 weeks. Those are also back in stock, but again, once those are gone, those are gone. Stamps are all selling very quickly from November, December, January, and now February, but those you don't need to panic buy. Those we continue to bring in stock. My stamps are more evergreen items. And so periodically you'll see things sell out and then they come back in. Sometimes it just takes a little while. I just placed a huge, ginormous reorder with the company that manufactures our stamps earlier this week. So, and I am never one to tell you, oh, you better buy it now, right? Limited quantities, while supplies last. I'm not a person to do that because I don't believe in that. I will tell you, I never want to encourage anyone to panic buy, right? But just some of those things like winter, spring season pass and year in review, they will be gone when they're gone for the second time. All right, let's keep on going. Hi, Cindy Hollenbeck. Marilee, good to have you back as well. Oh, flu. Yeah, you guys be careful. Take care of yourselves. 18 days I had it. It wasn't the flu though. It turned into walking pneumonia. And just this time of year, just take care of yourself. Wash your hands, whatever. Be careful. I hope you feel better, Marilee. So sorry to hear that. Hello, Elvis Diva. I like your name, Elvis Diva. Nick's family are huge Elvis fans. Robin Morgan, hello. Debbie Flanagan, Scrapbook Sista, hello. Sandy S6177, Mary C. Plans. I love having all of our friends here with us today. Okay, guys, so guess what? If I just scroll through your hello. Hello, nice to see you. Lovely to have you here. The texture stamp is back in stock. It's coming back in stock this week. So I added it this morning. I've got the tracking number from the stamp manufacturer that I work with, so it is on its way. And I put it back in stock because there's so much interest in that. This is our third time we've ordered. And I did that this morning because I also posted, I haven't posted it in the Facebook group yet, but I posted it on Instagram, a planner spread, a memory planner spread that I did from a couple weeks ago. I just posted it today. I'll show you that once we dig in so you can kind of see how amazing that texture splatter stamp is. But it's here. All right, friends. So if I miss you, hello. Once I rotate the camera and we start working, it's a little bit easier for me to see the chat as it takes place because I'm much closer and my iPad is right there versus me trying to step in and see. All right, so if I miss something, hang tight. When I rotate the camera and get going, ask again. Also, Becky's very knowledgeable. Amy's very knowledgeable. There are a number of people here that have been with me since the beginning. And so if you have a question, if I miss it, just know it's not you, it's me. It's incredibly difficult to work and entertain and then try to read and answer questions at the same time. So if I miss it, we'll get you covered. All right, let's talk about a couple of housekeeping items. Our listing schedule is all over the place for the next, really for the next about 6 weeks. We are not listing next weekend. That would be the 28th. Our older son, Jack, is getting married in Seattle. So, so excited for that. I can't even tell you. I just, my dress was altered. I just picked it up yesterday. Nick has his suit. Sam's suit is dry cleaned. My mom's dress has been altered now for the 3rd time. Anyhow, so Nick and I go up on Wednesday and we will be back home again Tuesday night. So we will not be listing on Saturday the 28th. The following weekend, we will also not be listing, which is like the 6th, 7th, and 8th, kind of that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever that is. We're moving to a warehouse, which I am so excited about. I can't even tell you. If you're new to Lael, my business, I've been running my business out of my home out of our home for the last 6 years, 7 years, and it is time. It is infiltrated, I mean, pretty much the downstairs. So that's okay. It kind of keeps under control downstairs. Downstairs is our basement, not, anyhow. But yeah, so we will be getting every last order out on that Thursday. No shipping Friday, and we never ship over the weekends. And we should be ready to hit the ground running shipping again the following Monday, which I believe is the 10th. Because that's really important, because that weekend, the 13th and the 14th and the 15th of March, that is our 6-year listing with Lael anniversary. You guys, 6 years we've been doing this. That also means the pandemic started 6 years ago, because that's when we started. So we're doing our listing a little bit different, celebratory for that weekend. We're doing Friday night and Saturday half day, because I have a commitment that I cannot change that late afternoon on the 14th. So big weekend. So get that on your calendar, the Friday the 13th. Again, we've got, right, the 13th. I think that's the 13th. I think we've got all the 13ths in a row right now. The 13th and the 14th. And then we are not listing for the next 2 weekends because I will be in Tokyo. So just know, basically that means we're listing twice-ish in March. The night of the 13th and then morning, early afternoon of the 14th. If you haven't joined us for one of those celebrations before, I really encourage you to do so. We have so much fun. We do a little walking down memory lane. We do creative listing. Lots of prizes, lots and lots of prizes. And I will also tell you that weekend we'll have the March release, the brand new Listing with Lael idea book, which got delivered last week, and new products, lots of fun things to share. I will also back up one step and tell you, because I'm getting lots of questions about this, the spring-summer season pass goes up for sale on March 5th. All right, so lots of things coming. The easiest way just to keep track of everything that's going on is make sure you're signed up for my emails, because that's how I let you know everything that's going on. Okay. All right, what else? Oh, Monday night. Monday night is our 3rd free Traveler's Notebook setup class for the year. Beginning in January, I opened up all of my Traveler's Notebook setup classes to anyone that would like to attend. They're free. I'm always using our season pass product for that, but you don't have to purchase that. If you purchased it or purchased bits and pieces of it, didn't purchase anything but just want to hang out and kind of see my process and how I think when it comes to setting up my Traveler's Notebook every month, that's this coming Monday. You'll find that here on my YouTube channel. I'm just talking. That's just what I do. And I've missed lots of the chat. I did just happen to see Terry because hers was all uppercase. We have a little bubbly and toast, our lovely creative leader. We do that on the 13th and 14th. We'll do that on the night of the 13th, where we have a little toast, because the toast is to really to you guys, because you're still here. Some of you are new and have newly found me. Some of you have been with me since, oh my gosh, my days back in Scenic Route, back in like 19, oh my gosh, when was it? I don't know, long time ago. 2005, when it is. Okay, anyhow. All right, I think you guys, I'll absolutely post pictures of the wedding. I'll have a little bit on Instagram, a little bit on my personal Facebook account, but I will definitely post photos in the Lail by Mail Facebook group because you guys can see. I will also send you guys later today a video that I took last night, just kind of walking through the warehouse space. Nick is in the middle of painting. That we've obviously leased the warehouse space, and there's one big giant truck in there of the guy that's moving out. But other than that, you can kind of see. And it's the before. You're going to see the before, because the after is going to be awesome. I mean, it's still a warehouse. A warehouse is a warehouse, but we'll have a fun little spin on it. So, and I'm just going to say this. I had a brilliant idea yesterday in the shower. That's where I do some of my best thinking. I have something really fun planned that any of you that are coming to the Simple Stories retreat later this year, that's in Utah. I'm in Utah. So the day before the retreat starts, I thought I might do something a little fun. So if you're coming to that retreat, just kind of maybe keep that day before in mind, because I had a great idea. All right, friends. And there's Elise. So Elise Harker, Elise and I go back. We met when I worked for Scenic Route. And she's telling me, since Sam was probably 7, Sam was 7 and probably younger than that. I mean, some of you know my kids. So yeah, for like 20 years, more than 20 years. I'm sure there's all kinds of other things I'm going to be thinking about as we go, and they'll just pop out as we go. So let's do this. Let me turn off the lights, change the lights, rotate the camera. One of the best things you can look forward to once we get the warehouse moved, once I get back from Tokyo, I have a little craft fest, so there will be a lot for that. So probably in May, let's hope sometime in May, I will be moving all of my filming downstairs. That will be permanently set up, and I have new cameras and equipment, and it's going to be so much better. But we got to walk before we run, so stick with me through that. Okay, I will also tell you, I have like joggers on and flip-flops because I'm gonna be doing a quick change as soon as I'm done and going to the warehouse. So I won't be wearing flip-flops to the warehouse, don't worry, but my joggers I will be wearing. So I thought, well, that'll save me all of about 30 seconds if I have the pants on that I'm gonna wear. It's funny when you film, and this is, you may have heard this through TV or anything like that. You tend to look really washed out. So sometimes I go a little heavier on the makeup on Saturday morning so you can kind of see me. And so I'll be at the warehouse. I won't scrub all my makeup off because I don't have time for that. But I might be looking a little overdone for the warehouse. Just a little fancy. Not clothing-wise, but, makeup and hair-wise. Oh yes, thank you for the reminder for the plugin. I have to tell you, if you joined me the other night, I was talking about I had lost my diamond earring. I was very sad about that. I had lost my diamond earring. And you guys were like, St. Anthony's, I think. You said prayer to St. Anthony's and blah, 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 all these things. Well, whatever you guys did worked because I found the earring. But I just got to tell you a quick little story and then we'll dive in. Guess how I found the earring? I found the earring because I was looking for my wedding ring. I couldn't find my wedding ring. So every night I take off my rings. I have been doing that since Nick and I got married. So I read something about that, that the sheets on your setting is rough on it and it can, anyhow. So I take my rings off every night. Sam was over. I was super tired and I go this. I take off these rings. I take off these 2 rings and we're talking. And then I walk into the bedroom and, I put my rings on the little tray in the bathroom where they always are, right there. They always go in the same place. And next morning I wake up to go to my doctor's appointment and I put my rings on and my wedding ring is not there. My wedding ring is not there. Now, let me tell you, I lose a diamond earring, and you know what? I was very sad, but you lose your wedding ring, and you're like, holy cow. So I think what happened is that those St. Anthony prayers that you guys had put out there were still sticking with me with the wedding ring. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I couldn't look. I like looked in the dining room where I had taken off my rings. They weren't there. And I go to look under the counter and I'm like, oh, not there. And I went, wait a minute, what? And I looked down and there's my diamond earring shoved all the way in the corner. That's how I found my diamond earring. And we had looked everywhere. And it just, you never would have seen it unless you had been looking for your lost wedding ring. So I panicked, but I've got to go to my doctor's and it's snowing, so I've got to take extra time, go to my doctor's appointment, and I come home. Nick was working from home that day, and I'm like, Nick, so guess what? I have good news and bad news. Good news is I found my diamond earring. He's like, yes, where'd you find it? We went through all that. And I said, but the bad news is, I said, I don't know where my wedding ring is. And he looks at me and he's like, what? I'm like, it's okay. It was here last night. It can't be far, da, da, da. So we look everywhere, can't find it. He's like, let's retrace your steps. So I'm like, okay, I did this here, dining room, walked into the bedroom. And then I'm like, so I don't remember if I went left to the bathroom or I went right in the other area. I'm like, not in the bathroom. And so I go, oh, wait a minute. I know there were some packages on the bed. I remember I picked up those packages and I put them on the chair. And I thought, would I still have all of my rings while I did that? So very carefully, I'm lifting the packages. It's like a tower of packages. Vicky understands this, I know. Like a tower of packages on the chair. And I start one by one moving them. And I pick one up and there's a black sweater and it's just laid out. And there is my wedding ring sitting on it like you'd gone to the jeweler and they bring out the wedding ring on a little black velvet pillow. I'm like, yes, yes. So that's the saga. And that'll be in my memory planner for this week. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things. Let's really, really quickly look at the release from this past week. So we are now, this year in 2026, doing monthly stamp releases, and actually I should say new product releases as opposed to bi-monthly every month. So February 16th, this past Monday, when we did the release. If you want to see the full release, and kind of, I'll show you lots of examples in the full release, you can find that video here on my YouTube channel, but we'll just go through them very quickly. So we came out with 5 new stamp sets and 2 new die sets, starting with these little guys, 2 of the 5. Back in August of 2025, I released my first Christmas holiday collection. It was called Dear December. We came out with a kind of postage stamp type stamp set where you could create your own postage stamps as part of that collection. And that was really, really popular. So we put our heads together and said, you know what? We think we should do something, but make it on a broader scale for 2026. And this is the start of it with these 2 stamp sets. So everything this year, when it comes to this concept, will be centered around this particular stamp set. It is called Postage Builder Frames. That is a 4x5 stamp set. So you have different postage stamp frames there that you could use these individually, right? With just the frames. You could write little things in there or put little icons in there or little die cuts or, do whatever you'd like. Or you could use them with the other postage builder stamps. So this is the first of several that you will see come out this year, and we will continue to add on to this series. The first is Postage Builder Flowers. So the idea here is you have all of these fun flower stamps and they fit inside of your Postage Builder frame. So you can make your own stamp sets, all right? Now, there is a die set that also goes with the frames. And this is the exact same die set that we released with the Dear December postage stamp. So if you already bought the Dear December die set, do not buy it again because these were specifically designed to go with that stamp set that you may have already bought, right? I don't know about you guys, but as a consumer, it doesn't sit very well with me if I buy this because I like this, and then later someone comes out with these, and these don't match this, the die. Ooh, whoa, I just flipped the dies off. They don't match the dies, and then the person says, oh, well, no, sorry, we decided to change them up a little bit. You need to buy new dies. No, that's silly. You've already invested good money in those, so these guys match with those dies that you already purchased, all right? So this is the first of the 2 new stamp sets. Postage Builder Frames and Postage Builder flowers. Then you have this little guy. This is the fourth in the series of the In the Box stamp sets. So that is a 4x6 stamp set. 1, 2, 3, 4 little boxes with quotes. This is called In the Box Quotes. So you will see me use this stamp set today, but a great list for, a great stamp set. I will be writing little things on my list in these quote boxes today. A number of people on the design team have already worked with this stamp set. So if you want to get some ideas on how this has been used, you can go to that product on the website and you'll see lots of examples. Well, some examples. And you'll continue to see more over time. We also released, and this is not, let me back up 1 second. These you can purchase as a bundle. So you could purchase these 2 as a bundle, or these 3 as the bundle with the die set. You could purchase this by itself, this by itself, this by itself. That is also a bundle. So we've tried to give you lots of different options on how to purchase them. And the bundle is important because when you buy things in a bundle, you get a 10% discount. All right, back to these. So there is a metal die set that also goes along with the In the Box quotes. All right, so you've got the stamp set and or the die set. You don't have to buy them together, but if you do buy them together in a bundle, 10% discount. Next up, this guy. So Carrie, can you make a bundle of the entire releases? I mean, like everything in the release in one bundle. So Carrie, we have done that. We've done that for the stamps. We've always done that for the stamps. I've always hesitated to include the dies in a bundle because not everybody uses dies, but you know what we certainly can do? We could have 2 different bundles. We could have the full release, that's the stamp bundle, and then we could have another release that's the stamp and die bundle. Amy, if you would just make note of that for us so that when we, subsequent releases, we'll have 2 different bundles for the release. Basically everything in the release and just the stamps. Great suggestion, Carrie, thank you. All right, this is the 3rd new stamp set. This one is called In the News 3. In the News 3 implies that there were 2 other that came before it, right? So this is the 3rd in the News stamp series. And we keep doing more In the News stamps because I keep getting bored. I'm like, I need new material for my In the News stamps, or in my In the News lists. I will tell you, I showed, I think, 4 different examples of how the creative team had used this stamp set when we released it last Monday. I encourage you to go look at this on the website because some amazing examples, and you guys, they all use the stamp set entirely differently. One of the things that tickled my fancy, it made me so happy to see, is that none of them used the stamp set the way I would in documenting the news. They all took a totally different approach, that they were documenting their own news, basically just like whatever was happening in their world. So if you have always looked at this type of stamp set from me in the News, in the News 2, in the News 3, and thought, you know what, this doesn't really apply to me because I don't like to document the news. Well, we all have news, right? We have our own personal news. So some amazing examples. And you guys, my creative team is just, they're so talented. So if you haven't looked at that, I encourage you to look at it. I will be also using this one today. All right, then we have this little guy. This is Tally Numbers. So we had introduced the Tally Alpha stamp set some time ago, a couple of years ago. That is a big 6x8 stamp set. Those alphas are 1.5 inches high. We didn't have enough room to do numbers. So you now have the numbers that coordinate with that. I will also be using both of these stamp sets today. All right, so there's one more, and this is a die. This is just a standalone die. This is the diagonal pocket scallop diagonal pocket. There we go, that sounds better. The scallop diagonal pocket. So basically that is creating a pocket for you with that metal die. These little guys are wings, and that means those pieces just fold under, so it creates a pocket for you. That one I will just show you very quickly. If I can grab it, I think it's right here. All right, here's an example. So basically I cut that twice. I cut it this way, and then I cut it that exact way again. This is the other side of that paper, and then just turned it around. All right, so you can end up with pockets that go both directions. You don't need to have a die that goes both directions. You just cut it twice and then turn one over. Alrighty, so that is what you saw in the February release. That just came out on the 16th and shipping now. Alrighty, Carrie said, dyes are my best friend. I'm not a fussy cussing kind of girl, right? Right. And you know what, you guys? I didn't use dyes. I have never used dyes in my life until the maybe past 2 years. And Amy said, hey, guess what? I think we should start doing metal dyes. And I'm like, Amy, it's not my thing. I'm not going to make a 28 layered piece teddy bear. And she's like, no. That's not how our dyes have to be. So our dyes are, in my opinion, very functional. And they're how I would use them. So like this guy, I'm like, this is really fun. I would like to be able to have those pieces cut out, but I don't want to get out my scissors, right? So I can just stamp and then dye. Same thing, especially for these guys, because what makes the stamp so fun is you have their little perforated edges like you would torn them, right? Well, to try to fussy cut that, you totally lose that, but your dyes do that for you. Okay, so let's get going. The list that we created when we were together last, I am just about finished with this particular Traveler's Notebook insert. All of that is in upside down. And it is going to look very odd as I do that. This is entirely been deconstructed. There are lists in here that needed to be included in this year's idea book. So all of our lists from 2025. So this went off to Amy. Amy photographs everything for the idea book. That's why it is completely disconstructed and in pieces. So we just are going to continue to work with it. Also, Jill, someone that is working with me on social media and marketing, was here earlier this week, and we were doing some photographs of some of the newer lists for social media. So things are all apart and falling out and skimpampus, but that's okay. All right, so we did three lists when we were together, right? It seems like it's been so long. Yes, all right, we were last together on the 7th. We did 3 lists. This was the first list. And I actually doctored it up a little bit after we ended. So this list is a list of things that I am loving. Some things I'm loving right now. This was basically copied from a sketch that Becky did, my graphic designer. We have sketches for all of our collections, for all the season passes. There are sketches for Dear December. There's sketches for postcards and passports. So we always launch with the sketches because it gives you a really good kind of jumping off point to get started as you're working with the product and buying the product. So what's nice about the sketches, she's using all the pattern and everything. So the only way that I modified her sketch, the thought was you could put photos there. Well, I didn't have photos for my things I'm loving right now list. So I basically recreated those photo strips using that in the box 2 stamp set. So things I'm loving right now. That is a super easy list. Those of you that are new and you think you might kind of want to get started creative listing, this is a great one to start with. Talk about things you're liking right now or loving right now, right? You can start that at any time. What I finished up with after I added that is from that's a sticker actually. There's stickers that look like that and stamps that look like that. That's from that month by month sticker book. So I added that sticker and then just added a couple of the little clusters of stamps from the Winter Spring Season Pass. And all of that product is from Winter Spring Season Pass. All right, next up. This list is called About Last Month. This is a list that we do once every month. We do at the start of a new month. So we did this beginning of February. And it is my list from what happened in my world for January, About Last Month. I'm using the new About Last Month stamp set for 2026. But basically, the only thing that ever changes in this list, and by the way, we've been doing this list since August of 2020. I have not missed a month since August of 2020. So that's, I've got like 60 some odd months, right, of this type of list. The only thing that ever changes with this list, more or less, is what that looks like. There's a new stamp set for that every year. Basically, I am same format every month. I've got some photos over here. I stamp up here, have my list here, and then do a little bit of decorating. This is a great way to document your life, right? Super easy. Some people don't even do it with photos. It's just about last month, and this is what happened. But it's a great way to record. And I can say because of this list, because of about last month, I'm 100% caught up in my memory keeping because I've done this since August of, At least I'm caught up since August of 2020, right? That doesn't mean that I won't maybe necessarily continue to document maybe more of one of the things that happened, but I can do that down the line. It is all recorded, all right? Here also used some icons from, and rub-ons from, and stamp right there, from the Winter Spring Season Pass. Our third list, this is also a great list if you're just getting started with us. About last month. What happened in your life about last month? Then we have this one, things I'm looking forward to this winter. We do this type of list, things I'm looking forward to 6 times a year. Things I'm looking forward to this year, winter, spring, summer, fall, and Christmas. This is another great getting started list because you can do this list at any time. Things I'm looking forward to this winter, things I'm looking forward to next month, things I'm looking forward to for my vacation, right? It can be anything you're looking forward to. And I always say, these don't have to be big things, right? One of the things I was looking forward to is the Winter Olympics, right? I'm not participating in the Winter Olympics, but I enjoy watching them, so I can look forward to that. Maybe there's a particular series that you like to watch on Netflix or whatever it is. Maybe there's a new series coming out next month. You could be looking forward to that. You could be looking forward to warmer weather. You could be looking forward to tulips popping up from the ground. You could be looking forward to gardening. You could be looking forward to the types of fruits and vegetables that come out as we get on later in the year, right? So a very easy list, again, to get started with. And the key takeaway from that is they don't have to be big things. You don't have to be planning a trip around the world to look forward to, right? They can be little things. All right. Tina, I love it. She said, this is just the motivation that I need. That makes me so happy. That's a glimmer for me today. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to dive into our first list. Our first list, actually 2 of our lists. Sometimes I get a little overzealous. I'm surprised. Does that sound like me? Sometimes I get a little bit overzealous and I think we can get more done on a listing session than we can. So 2 of our lists have been on our list of lists to do in the past and we just didn't get to them. I am going to take all these pages out, all right, because it's going to make life much easier for me to start working here. Normally my traveler's notebook doesn't look like this. Again, if you missed me, say that. I sent it off to Amy for photography. There were some lists earlier at the beginning that needed to be photographed for the 2025 idea book, which releases next month. And so in order to photograph, she takes it all apart. All right. Okay. So our first list today is one that I'm calling ins and outs. Ins and outs. We have every year done a list towards the beginning of the year. I usually like to wait until February before we do this. It might be a resolutions list. It might be a goals list. It might be a things you're looking forward to list, things that you want to change about the year list, resolutions, goals. I think I said all of that. But for me, I stopped really doing New Year's resolutions maybe 5 or 6 years ago. For me, it's too much pressure. New Year's resolutions, there's a lot of pressure. You have to come up with something and it better be good. And then there's all kinds of studies that say people with New Year's resolutions, they've forgotten about them 2 weeks later and everybody fails at them and right, whatever. So over the years, I've kind of tried to change the way that I look at that. Doesn't mean I don't have things I want to work towards, but maybe a little bit less pressure if they're not resolutions. So the last couple of years, we've kind of documented things we want to focus on for the year. Focus, a little less pressure, right? What I'm going to do this year, I'm calling it in and out or ins and outs. There are things that I want to bring in to 2026 and there are things that I want to push out, all right? I came up with this idea. I was at I wasn't teaching at a retreat. I was attending a retreat in January, and my friend Lindsay and I were talking, and she showed me something about kind of this concept, ins and outs. And I'm like, oh, I love that. That is a great idea, kind of to switch up our things that you want to focus on for the year. So what do you want to bring in, and what do you want to push out? As I'm listing, that's what I'm going to be doing. But I would love to hear from you guys, and you'll hear what's on my in and out list. I would love to hear from you guys. What's something that you want to bring into 2026? Doesn't mean it's a resolution. Something that you want to bring in. And then also what's something that you want to push out of 2026, right? And guess what? They can be people. If there are people in your life that you want to push out, you can, right? You're the boss of you. You get to decide who gets part of your, a piece of you, in a good way, not in a bad way, or who you just really don't have time for before, right? You just don't really have time for, okay? All right, so the product that you saw in my flat lay, if you saw it in an email or on social media, I am using the brand new, and I need to get this right because I keep wanting to call this something else. I keep wanting to call it Oh Happy Day. Color Me Happy, using the brand new Color Me Happy collection from Simple Stories. My friend Kelly Bangs designed this. Some of you may not even have known Kelly's name, but you know and recognize her really fun, bright style. So that is what we're using today. Color Me Happy is available on my website now, shipping now. So as we kind of get going, we'll take a look at some pieces of that. So this will be a 2-page list. I am going to start with a background. And actually, because I'm starting with the background, I don't even need to have this here for now. I'm going to work on this list off the page. So basically, I'm going to create everything here. And when I am done, I will go back and kind of adhere the pages into my Traveler's Notebook insert. Once you get to the very end of an insert like that, it gets really chunky. So it's a really good thing, right? But because it's chunky, sometimes it gets a little bit harder to work with at the end, especially if you are stamping. So this will help us a little bit. So I had just pulled out some papers from that 6x8 paper pad that just kind of were resonating with me. This will be a 2-page list. One side will be ins and one side will be outs. So I just need to figure out kind of what I want to use. If I bring in the yellow, it definitely goes one direction, as opposed to if I bring in the pink, it tends to go an entirely different direction, right? I think we're going to do the pink on this one. So one side will be this, one side will be this. If you are someone that likes to have a spread that has contrast to it, you'd use 2 different papers like this. Now, with the Simple Stories 6x8 paper pads, there are 2 sheets of every paper. So there's 24 sheets, 12, 2 each of 12 patterns, but everything is double-sided. So if I decided I really don't want to have that contrast, I'd really like to do this one and, on both pages with the paper pad, you have the ability to do that because you've got 2 sheets of each. Okay, so there's so many, and then I'm like, oh, okay. So I won't do this. We'll end up covering a bunch of that up. I'll use both of these for something else because I love both of those. This floral we'll do something with down the road too because I love that. I love all of it. It's just all such beautiful, bright, happy colors. And this time of year, when there's 6 inches of snow outside, it is a bluebird day. I mean, it is blue skies, not a cloud in sight. It's gorgeous, but, it's still two-toned. It's white and blue. All right, trimmer. So the Traveler's Notebook inserts that I make are standard wide. So they are 5 inches wide by 8 1/4 inches tall. When I can, if the collection I'm working with has a 6x8 pad, I will use a 6x8 pad because all of the patterns are scaled down to size, right? Because this is 5 by 8.25 and this is 6x8, I can just trim a little bit off of one of the edges and then I'll have a nice white border all the way around. Okay, so that's what we're going to start with. I was finishing up my memory planner spread the other night and I kind of have some sticky stuff there. All right, so I really like this side. I think this side with that teal will give us a little bit more of a color pop, so I'm going to trim off this side. When I am creating a base for my spread, I trim to 4 3/4 wide. All right, so that eventually when this goes down, that gives me a nice white border all the way around. Okay, let's grab my corner rounder. I like to round the outside corners. Okay, this will be the right page. I like to round the outside corners. That's gonna be the right page. I like to round the outside corners because the corners of my Traveler's Notebook inserts are rounded. So a little round corner there and a little round corner there. We will do the same with this page. Trim that to 4 3/4. And I will tell you, if you are cutting from a 6x8 paper, don't throw these pieces away, right? You can totally use, ooh, that was a fun one too, that green. You can totally use these pieces. Maybe in this example, I did not want to, oh, there's all kinds of options here. Look at this. Maybe I did not want to have to use 2 pieces of paper, right? Maybe I just wanted to use 1. So if I did something like this and this guy was here and this guy was over here, ooh, you know what? We might, I mean, I won't use it for this list, but I might use this for another list today. I could do this, right? I could put this one here, this little piece here that we cut off on the opposite page, so it's lending some continuity, and then I could do my list over here, right? And then it'd still be really cute. I'm going to use this. I am going to use the second sheet of this paper on our next list because I turned that over and I'm like, that's really good. So let's just grab, since, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I just need to grab that sheet again out of here. That's when it's nice that you've got two of each page, right? Because you might be like, oh, I want to use this, but shoot, I want to use that too. And with that 6x8 paper pad, you can. You guys will be excited to know, hopefully you'll be excited to know, that our next collection is coming out in May. It is another travel collection because, you know, that's kind of a big part of my life. It is another travel collection, and talking to the printer right now, that whole collection is done. We'll start receiving bits and parts of that over the next, month or two. But talking to the printer right now, my local printer that prints our papers. What did I do with my, oh, here we go. 6x8 paper pad. So there is, we always do with my collections 12x12, but we're also kind of investigating 6x8 paper pad. Let's see, is there a quick ad feature to your website when shopping? Gabby, that's a great question. There probably is. So, Amy, will you do me a favor? Will you also note that, and I'll investigate with Shopify if there's like a quick ad app. So basically you don't have to, basically just from the main screen. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Gabby, that's a great suggestion. We'll see if that functionality is available. Because that'd make it so much easier to shop, wouldn't it? All right. We can't shop fast enough. I love it. I love that you guys support me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know that I wouldn't be here without you. I mean, I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but really I wouldn't, because, I have all these product ideas, but I wouldn't have anybody to buy them, and it'd be like, well, yeah, that was a good idea, but can't do that. There's no one to buy it. All right. Yeah, so you know what? That's one of those things, and I always encourage you guys, if you have a suggestion, a product suggestion, a suggestion for the website, that we always listen, right? We always listen, and sometimes we can actually do. Sometimes we can do. So, always ask. Never hurts to ask. I've just pulled out some white cardstock. I definitely will not be making my lists on here. White cardstock, and when I am cutting down my white cardstock for the lists, usually I am about 3 3/4 ish. Let's do that. 3 3/4. 3 3/4 gives me kind of a nice border of the pattern and color behind it. So 3 3/4 every time I am filming, I'm like, oh, and I cut, I'm like, oh, need to cut my blade. Need to switch my blade. And then this usually ends up being around 7. So let's look. Well, normally I just eyeball it, but I try to give you measurements because some of you want to know. Look at that, dead on 7. That's just kind of where it always is. So my pieces for my list end up, excuse me, being 3 3/4 by 7. So here's the other deal. I have a number of doctor's appointments coming up. I'm trying to take care of myself. I went to my my annual kind of physical and all that, and I have an appointment with a new neurologist this week because my migraines are back full force. So he specializes in headaches, specializes in migraines. So hopefully we get some relief there. I don't even need answers, just relief. My sister and I both suffer from migraines. We both, in my family, there's some neck issues that are hereditary that I just learned about mine 2 years ago. Not yet. Cervical spinal stenosis and degenerative disc disease I have, which means that the discs in my neck are compressing and the spinal cord is also getting, I don't know. That part I don't really understand, but I think that's now what's really contributing to my migraines these days. So hoping to get some answers on that. But also really what made me think of this is that I have had like a really, hi mom, I've had like a really scratchy kind of like 1-900 caller voice, you know, or like I've been a smoker for the last 800 years. It's been really scratchy like that. And it usually happens to me in November because I come off like 3.5 months of a lot of teaching in person. So a lot of talking, it's just never stopped. So I'm trying to also go to a different doctor, figure out what's going on there. So hopefully after a while, I won't sound like I'm, and I also clearing my voice a lot. All right. I am going to ink up these edges. That's what I'm kind of getting out here. So let me just make sure that that's the right color. I pulled out a couple of colors that I thought really coordinated well with this collection. I don't think it's picked raspberry though. I think it's kitsch flamingo. Hang on. Because I had picked raspberry out for something that I was, oh no, actually, picked raspberry is pretty good. Oh yeah, picked raspberry. So we're going to grab picked raspberry. I'm grabbing my little blending tool here. Oh yes, I remember. I needed to do a new picked raspberry because this is why. It lost its Velcro. So I think this one, I think that little one is picked raspberry. So I'm just going to switch out for this little guy because I don't think I have a spare little head for that anywhere up here. So I'm going to take my little blending tool. This is the tiny. So I carry both sizes. That's the tiny and this is the mini little blending tools. But they are great for adding a little bit of ink. This, if you know me, is about as mixed media as I get. Although, with the new textures splatter stamp set, it looks like I do lots more mixed media than I do because I just use that little stamp. Anyhow, this is a great way to add a little bit of extra color without adding any extra bulk or dimension. So when I'm working in a traveler's notebook, I mean, it gets kind of bulky, right? Traveler's notebook, you can't necessarily take the pages out of, right? So it's not like you have a 6x8 album that you can just keep adding to the rings and it just keeps growing and growing and growing with you. So I try to kind of keep the dimension down. You will never see me use foam squares or pop dots or any kind of dimensional product. No chipboard, no enamel dots or anything like that in my traveler's notebook because the more dimension you have, especially if it's small like that, it's great on a page, but then when you turn the page to try to write on it, it wreaks havoc, or stamp, it wreaks havoc because it's all lumpy bumpy underneath. All of that to say, I like to have a border. So in a regular world, if I wasn't working in a traveler's notebook, I might find a piece of cardstock that this was this color and then mat my list on a piece of cardstock. But if I do that, it then adds a whole other layer. So it starts really making things thicker if I do that on every list I'm working on. So I get the same effect by just inking the edges. And that's just kind of going to help that to really kind of sink in. Make those two pieces not look so separate. And I'm going to do the same on this side. That just looked really short. How's your Saturday, guys? How are we doing? Did you have a nice Valentine's? Are you glad that holiday is over? Nick's like, that's a manufactured holiday. He probably says every man out there. That's a manufactured holiday. And then Father's Day rolls around and you're like, well, that's a manufactured holiday. Whoa, wait a minute. A cold cap. Oh, Steph. I have not. And I know, thank you for suggesting that. I've read about that. And I know some people have had a lot of success about that. I'm a wimp. Like I've had injuries, knee injuries, all kinds of injuries before. And I'm such a wimp when it comes to like having a, you know, cold compress or something like that on. So I worry. But I really should try it because, you know, you've already got a migraine. It's not like it can, you know, it's not like it's going to, well, I don't know. If you've got a bad one, it's pretty bad and it's hard to make them worse. So I'll have to try it. Vicki sent me something the other day, you know, and there's all kinds of, people have done all kinds of studies and all kinds of things. But there was this one doctor was talking about that you take like one of those hair claw clips or whatever, and you clip it to your eyebrow. And then that's, you know, there's some nerve up there that's supposed to help, or I don't know, that helps with whatever. Let's see. You know, I actually have a cold, like eye mask, that you can put on. I learned about that from a trip to Hawaii that we did a couple weeks ago. There's Reggie. Reggie's part of my list. That's a little Reggie hair. In case you don't know, Reggie is the cat, not the husband, okay? I don't know, why is a cat hair okay or a dog hair, but if that's Nick's hair, everybody would be like, ooh, that's gross. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you, Mary Pat. Yeah, you know, I tell you, we just, as we get older, all kinds of things. I was joking with somebody the other day. I remember when, you know, with my grandparents, you'd call them, hi, Grandma, how are you? Oh, we've got this. Oh, this hurts. Oh, this hurts. I feel like I'm there. How are you? Well, my migraines and then the menopause and sweats and, you know, like, we don't want to focus on that, do we? Marilee, polyp on her vocal cords. That's what I am trying to make sure that that's not what it is, right? Let's see. Oh, Gabby's been sick. You got the bird flu. Oh my goodness. And then a week later, you were down for the count, so you got it twice. I'm so sorry. I hope you're feeling better. I will, Steph. Thank you for suggesting that. I will for sure try it. Tina's getting ready to host the daughter's family for Possibilities dinner and game night. Possibilities? That sounds really cool. What is that? You need to share that with us. All right. So now I do this. I do this on everything I do. Any kind of project I'm working on. I make my little outline. I use a little fine tip Sharpie for that. That's all I ever use for any of my writing. In my planner, in my memory planner, my scrapbooks, in my lists, it's always that. Those I have on the website, but you can pretty much find those anywhere. You'll notice as I'm outlining, this stays flat. All right, this stays flat. I've been doing this for 20 some odd years, probably 28 years, on my projects. And it's just, it's like anything. The more you do it, the better you get at it. But it's also never straight, right? And that is, if I wanted it straight, I'd get a ruler. So you see how it's kind of a little bit straight, a little bit crooked. That's what it's all about. All right, so this is our in and out list. These are things I am bringing into 2026 and things I am pushing out. So I think what I will do is, let me look. I have three things in and 3 things out. So, I totally just remembered that I had a different plan for this. My plan was I was going to not do this part, the white part. I was going to stamp these guys on white and then cut them out with the die. And then they would sit on the color, but too late. So I won't be using the die for that set today. If I had looked at my sketch, I would have remembered that, but I didn't look at my sketch. I also need this for my title. So let's start with this. This is Tally Alpha 6x8 stamp set. Those letters are 1.5 inches tall. So nice and bold. So I'll have in and out. Grab my stamping blocks here. Let's see, oopsie. Butterfingers. All right, that is going to work. So you'll see I have a whole tray of different size stamp blocks here. I'm going to grab that too. One of, in my opinion, the most important things when you are stamping is to right size your stamping block to your stamp. It makes it so much easier to handle, right? So this is going to be in. So let's grab and I'll talk about that again in a minute, I. and my N, and then I need OUT. This is just a cheap little frame from like the dollar store acrylic frame. I found, and you guys know this if you've been with me, that I always take my stamps off first. But usually if I lay them here, then something else picks it up instead. And then I'm looking for my O or, you know. So if I put them all on there, then they're all just in kind of nice, safe space. All right. So starting out with the I. Now, number one, that is very dirty. We'll talk about that in a minute. I am going to place my I on my work surface, face down, especially with something that's that narrow. If you've ever tried to take your letter like that or something small and get it on your stamping block and have that be straight and not crooked, sometimes it's not necessarily as easy as it looks. So generally what I do is I will put my stamp down on my work surface and then I pick it up with my stamping block because then I can make sure it's straight. Right? There we go. Now let me clean this off because I clearly did not clean this stamp last time I used it. It has a little bit of black still on there. So I'm just using my little stamp chamois for this. I will mention any of you going to Little Craft Fest, the big stationery event. This will be the second year. That takes place in Houston, well, Conroe, suburb of Houston, in April. The workshops are going live a week from today on the 28th, and some of those sell out really quickly. I'm doing 3 workshops there, so one of them is all about stamping. All right, so when I am stamping a word, and this is just a weird little idiosyncrasy, one of my many thousands, I will stamp each letter individually. I like to control. I'm a bit of a control freak. If Nick was here, he'd agree. If Vicky's still here, she absolutely knows that. My mom knows that too. I like to control how much space there is between each of the letters on my stamps. If you put them all together on the same block, you can. But there is a little bit of polymer or stamping material around each of your letters. So when you kind of put them all down, you end up with kind of wider space between each letters, which I don't necessarily like. All right. Right sizing your stamping block. So I found the stamping block that I had in my stash that's closest in size to that stamp. If I only have one stamping block, I have to go with the lowest common denominator. I have to have a stamping block that is the size of my largest stamp, right? Which just totally works. But if I'm using that little stamp there on that stamping block, that is a lot harder to control because my little stamp's in the center and I'm trying to get it even and it's big, right? This will work. It just makes life a lot more difficult. So if you are starting to stamping, I'd encourage you to start kind of investing, and they're not, they're a couple dollars, $4 or $5, whatever it is. Start collecting some different size stamping blocks because it will make your life so much easier when you're stamping. All right, so I never will ink this up and stamp over here right away. You should always test stamp first. And that's what basically, and this is the walk the talk. I always test stamp first. Now, first of all, I'm not sure which color I'm going to use. So let's see. I had pulled out salvaged patina. Thought that would be fun to use. So let's see if we like that color. So as we're test stamping, we're doing a number of things. Number one, we picked a color. Do we like that color? I do like that color. I think that color goes very nicely with what I have picked, kind of the collection. The other thing that I am looking for, and we can see it here, and I did not plan this, I can see there is something on my stamping block. Do you see how there's that space where the ink didn't adhere? It's kind of a curve or a curl if you're watching the Olympics, curling. I can tell there is a little hair on here. So if there's anything on the surface of your stamp, it's going to prevent the ink from sticking, which means no ink is sticking and you'll end up with a kind of a weird, kind of a weird space. Now that may not bother you, but to me that bugs the heck out of me. Again, control. So I cleaned it off. Now clean it off, and then it's really important that you dry that before you re-ink, especially if you were using a distress oxide or a pigment-based ink. Distressed oxide is a pigment-based ink. Takes a little bit longer to dry. Not long, but it takes a little bit longer to dry. It is also water reactive. So I just cleaned it. If I didn't dry that off right away, there's a little bit of moisture on my stamp. The ink that's water reactive is going to react with the ink on my stamp set, and it may not give me the look that I was going for. Now, there's some great properties or some great benefits of using a distress oxide or a pigment-based ink versus a dye-based ink if you do mixed media. I don't do mixed media. I don't do any kind of blending or anything like that. So with your inks and your type of inks, no matter what you're using them for, I think it's important to understand how they work. There are 2 links in the description box of the video down below. One is a link that talks about, they're both on scrapbook.com. One is a link that talks about the difference between a dye-based ink and a pigment-based ink, explains the difference and shows you what they look like and talks about the properties of each. There is another article that is linked where Tim Holtz is kind of walking you through the difference between distress inks and distress oxides and the properties and how you can blend with this one and do watercolor with this one and all different kinds of things. And I don't do those things, but I think it's important that we know, because you may be doing something with your stamps and it not giving you the result that you thought it would. And the more, knowledge is power. All right. So we like that. It's clean. We're good. What I'm going to do now is, before I stamp, I don't have any lines on this paper, and I would like my letters to line up. So I'm going to take my little ruler here and figure out where I want my little title to be. So probably right about there. And I'm just going to very faintly draw a line like that. All right, so that's my line. So I make sure that my letters hopefully are straight-ish, right? Straight-ish. And that's what I'm going to stamp on. I will wait probably until tomorrow to actually erase that line. I want this ink to be super dry. I don't want to come in with my eraser and then smear that ink. All right, so I'm going to just figure out, this is going to say in, right? Just want to get a feel for where I want to stamp this guy. Make a little mark right there. That looks like a good spot. All right, now actually really I should test this again because everything looks good, but I tell you, you're not ever going to regret testing. It takes you an extra second to do it, right? But you will regret not testing. If your stamp's dirty or there's something on it, or you decide that color doesn't match like you thought it would. All right, so 2 key things we've talked about stamping. Number 1, right size your stamping block to your stamp. Actually, 3 things. Number 2, I find it much easier to pick up my, that's dirty. I find it much easier to pick up my stamp with my stamping block as opposed to try to place my stamp on the stamping block. What else did we talk about? Oh, test stamping. The next one is this. Oops, I'm a little short. I want to make sure the other one's short. I stand while I'm stamping. I actually stand while I do everything. I craft, stand, I teach standing. I don't sit down when I teach. I stand and walk around. The benefit of standing while you are stamping is leverage and range of motion. If you've been here for any length of time, in your head, you're envisioning this. Your little T-Rex arms. When you're sitting, you have little T-Rex arms, little T-Rex. You have virtually no range of motion. If you're sitting and trying to stamp, no real range of motion. And stamping is all about range of motion and levering. So if you stand up, now you've got so much more range of motion, right? I can start up here. I have plenty of room for my leverage, right? And to me, that is another really important thing about stamping. So if you normally sit when you stamp, I encourage you to pull out a little piece of scratch paper and play. Stand up and see what it feels like. Depending on what kind of work surface you are working on, this is counter height. And so if normally you sit at a desk when you're crafting or stamping, maybe go into the kitchen. Kitchen is counter height. Try stamping in the kitchen or the bathroom, right? Because bathroom generally counter height. and just play. You'll get such a better, in my opinion, feeling when you're stamping. It feels like you have a lot more control, a lot more range of motion. And that's what stamping is really all about. And then the other thing is practice makes perfect. If you're just getting started stamping, practice, right? Practice on something you don't care about. Take a piece of scratch paper and just practice and play. One of the other things that when you're test stamping that you can figure out quickly is the amount of pressure that you need to apply. Generally, oh, you know what's going to happen? This is bad. Oh, well. Because I lined it up. Don't even ask. I lined it up. Yeah. So much for my line. I lined up the wrong thing here. So that's all right. It's a little uneven. That's how you know it's handmade, right? That's how you know it's handmade. I was saying something. Squirrel. No idea what I was saying. All right, in, and then I think we'll do the same thing over here right now. We'll get ready for our out. And if we line these up, theoretically, they will kind of be lined up, right? Kind of. Now, I'm not going to start over, right? It's not even, but that's okay. We've got to, in art, and some people might argue this is not art, but in art, we've got to sometimes let things go, right? Sometimes we get so worked up about, is it perfect? Is it straight? Well, you might not get very far if you're getting really worked up about those kind of things. So maybe try to let it go. And I know sometimes it's hard to let it go. You could start over there, but life's too short. I'm not starting over. All right, so now we've got a little O out. Okay. All right, so I can see I've got something going on. And to most people, they'd be fine with that, right? Do you see how it's just a little splotchy, but it's really splotchy right in that area? That means I've got something there. There's something on my stamping block that is kind of preventing whatever's going on there. So I'll clean that off really well. And again, really important that you dry between after you've cleaned. Now, if you're putting this stamp away, you're done with it, you're not using it again, you don't need to dry it. But if you are getting ready to ink it up again, you do want to dry it because depending on the type of ink you're using and how much moisture is still on that stamp, you could be, then you transfer another, is that gone? I transferred a little hair on there. You could be, and if you're not totally dry, your inks can be, the properties of your inks can be affected by moisture like that. Water reactive. Aha. Now I can see. Did you see before I kept doing that and doing this because I kept looking and looking? And that's a really quick test because now everything looks solid. I don't see any kind of space. And I did see space before. Oh, and I also didn't measure here where it needs to go, but that's okay. I think what I had done over here, I think I wasn't looking at the bottom of the stamp. I think I was looking at the bottom of the stamping block, and that's why that's what happened. Paper Made Bakery said, I'm a stander for all crafts. I find I can see what the outcome will be, get things straighter. That's for sure for me, right? That is a for sure for me. And because I've done that, I've stood for so long, you different perspective, right? I have a bird's eye perspective. And if I try to sit down, oh Lordy, things are nowhere near straight, nowhere near. Hawthorne Taylor, hello, my dear. I love what she said. She said, playing with stamps on scratch paper was a game changer for me. So much less stressful to try new things if it's not for a final project. So true. I think I remember what I was going to say before. Another thing you can figure out when you are test stamping is the amount of pressure you need to apply. You need to apply different amounts of pressure based on the stamp. So this is a pretty solid stamp, right? So I want to make sure to apply a good amount of pressure to make sure, it just looked a little dirty, to make sure that I get a nice, clean, even dispersion of my ink, right? So I need to apply more pressure with this. And how do I learn that? Because I just play with the stamps. I know, right? I've used them before. I've played with them. I know. Now, the smaller your stamps, especially the more kind of intricate your stamps are, maybe you've got a little word strip stamp that's really, small. You don't need to apply as much pressure. With stamps like that, the more pressure you apply, it tends to flatten out the polymer, flatten out the stamping material, and then it blurs. And you don't know how that's going to react, how much pressure to apply until you test, right? Once you test, then you know. And you don't have to keep getting a new piece of scratch paper. I mean, I'm not trying to make anything pretty. I'm just, testing it out. So you can stamp on top, on top, on top. I just use it in a notebook because then I always know where that is. Assuming I'm always putting it away where it goes, right? That's a big assumption. Much better in terms of my evenness when I was paying attention to the bottom of the stamp versus the bottom of the stamping block. It is my mixed media album. I am a mixed media artist. See? Look at my mixed media. Totally. And here's the other thing. Sometimes you're not sure. Maybe you want to combine stamps, and we'll do that in one of our next lists. You want to combine stamps, and you're not quite sure how it's going to work or the spacing or the colors you want to use. That's a great way to kind of test it and play with it first. So I'm just going to show you this. Do you see how that's all splotchy? I know, and this is just based on experience. I know I'm not going to get a nice even stamped impression. So let's look at what that's going to look like when it comes out. Let's try to find a space that's a little bit easier to see. All right, see how that's totally splotchy? Well, we didn't even need a test stamp because I could see that on that stamping block that was going to be like that. So all I'm going to do is come in and clean it off. That tells me, and there's not like hair or lint on there that's affecting that, but just something on the overall surface. So maybe it's just a little bit dirty. We'll clean it off, dry it, and then let's try again. All of these things, you guys, when I first started stamping, I hated stamping. I really hated it. Look at, and now it's nice and solid. So we know we're good. Because I had no clue what I was doing. Nobody ever told me, hey, you need to clean and dry and, do all these things. You really should test, see what happens. The biggest thing I didn't know is that you need to condition your stamps before you use them for the first time. I was like, what? I didn't know that. Your stamps really kind of aren't ready to be used when you open them out of the package. Ins and out, in, out. Because there's a little bit of residue from the manufacturing process on them. You can't see it, but it's there. So if you have a brand new set of stamps and on the back of, depending on how old the stamps are, I shouldn't say how old, when they were released, you'll have this on the back of your stamp packaging. Kind of some stamp care there. And then there's a little QR code you can scan for a free class on my website where I walk you through some different ways to prime or condition your stamps before you use them. But the way that you do it doesn't really matter, but whether you do it or not is what really matters, because you really want to make sure that they are ready to use, kind of you've got any of that residual residue, yeah. Any of that residue that still remains from the manufacturing process, that you've got it off of the stamp. And Amy, I love it. Amy just linked that free class here in the chat. Lael, when you dry it, does it not leave fuzzies? Marilee, it doesn't, and I probably should have talked about this. This is a microfiber cloth, okay? Microfiber, so it doesn't have any little fuzzies. That is what I use to always dry my stamps. If you are using a towel, if there are any fibers, sometimes they will transfer to your stamp. Sometimes, depending on the type it is, a baby wipe can be one of the worst things. I bought some baby wipes years ago from Costco to like clean my stamps as I was working. And I think they were all natural or something. I don't know. They were the least expensive. And I cleaned my stamps with them and went to stamp. There were so many fibers from the baby wipes that transferred to my stamp. So I always use a microfiber cloth. You will find on the website, I have the microfiber cloths. I have the stamp chamois. There's a bundle of the microfiber cloth and the stamp chamois and an eraser. And the eraser is what I use to prime my stamps. And that you'll see in that video. But the drying can be just as important to dry it, because you don't want to have the properties of the, you don't want, sorry, I just totally, no, I'm thinking, I'm trying to do this and it's sometimes it's hard to talk and think at the same time. You don't want the properties of the ink, especially if it's pigment ink, being water reactive to mess with what you're doing. But at the same time, you also don't want to be transferring your fibers onto your stamps because you're going to keep having the same problem. You're going to have to clean it and clean it and dry it and clean it and dry it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. In and out. There we go. And now I remember something that Terry said about probably an hour and 12 minutes ago. Hydration break. If you are not hydrating, hydration break. Paper Made Bakery said chamois and microfiber is hands down the best. I love it when you guys give your 2 cents because me, I'm a business. The way that I exist is by selling product. So, but when you guys give your 2 cents, whether you agree or disagree with me, I love all of it. Sometimes it lends a little bit more credibility to Lael saying, yeah, I've got this and I've got this and this is the best. All right. So now what we need to figure out, I have 3 and 3 things on both sides. So I would like to use my little quotes here, right? And what I was also thinking is I kind of need, what if I do this? I would like to kind of maybe introduce what the heck's going on here. Ooh. Let me think about that for a second. So if we were to do, watch this. Watch this. This one we might end up die cutting. Look how these are laid out here. This could go right here. There's one thing. Here's 2 things. And here are 3 things. I get that those are actually all R's, not is. Like that, right? So what I'm thinking is maybe this is my little explanation of these are my ins and outs for 2026. And then we're kind of like maybe this, right? And then these are the 3 things I'm bringing in. So these, I will, just this guy I'm going to have to die cut, right? Because I have to because I don't want to write in there when that's partly there. And all right, so let's get out. Too small. Here's the other thing. You do not, when we talk about right sizing your stamping block to your stamp, you should not use a stamping block that is smaller than your stamp, like this, all right? So this, and this is pretty close, but where I'm going to have the problem is this part right here. There's nothing to hold that up underneath. So you want to make sure that it is not smaller. So I go to my next one. This guy is probably my next one, and it fits really well. Okay, so I need a little bit more of my white cardstock, and we need to figure out the colors now. I could do, actually, I'm going to use a color with this one, and then all these are going to be black, but I'll show you what I'm going to do to them to make them not so black. And this will kind of give you an idea, if you don't have a lot of different colors of stamping ink, how you can get some color in with your stamps by just using black. All right, let's get all of this out of the way. Bring this guy in. We'll bring him in a minute. I think this guy will make pink. No, we probably should make him, I think we better make him that color. So let's ink this up again. Ooh, actually, hang on. I haven't used these stamps yet. And I was about ready to just break my cardinal rule. I forgot I hadn't used these. So I'm going to do something really quick. I'm going to put these all back on again. When you get a new set of stamps, this goes back to our priming and conditioning discussion. You really should prime them or condition them, get them ready to stamp before you use them to get rid of any residue from the manufacturing process. So what I'm going to do here, these have not been used yet. I am pulling out my white rubber eraser. This is the only thing I use this for. I don't use this for erasing pencil. I only use it for this. I am going to take that and gently go over the top of all of those stamps. And you'll notice I put all those stamps back on because it wasn't going to make sense for me to just do that one. If I'm going to do this, it's so much easier to do all the stamps at once. And now I know the next time I use the stamp set, everything's been done, right? So gently, you are not in third grade trying to erase your spelling word that you know you spelled wrong, right? Sometimes we'd erase so hard, we'd, erase through the paper and create all these eraser tailings, all the little crumbles. We're not trying to do that. We're just trying to get that residue off. This is one of several different ways I show you how to do this. There's no right or wrong way. Really, the wrong way is just if you don't do it. And eventually it'll work itself out. It's just the first couple times you use the stamp, it may not, it may be really splotchy because that residue is getting in the way of the ink. Clean it off, right? We want to clean it off really well. And then we want to dry it off really well before we ink it up. Now they're ready to go. So that took no time at all, right? That really took no time at all. We think orange. Do you think orange? Okay, guess what we're going to do? Here's the nice thing. When you are stamping and going to also use a die, you can create multiples, right? Really easy because, we need stamping block. One of the reasons I think we don't get our stamps out and use them is because it takes work, right? To get everything out. And isn't that so good? Not fun. You can see that little tiny line, kind of double line in between the two. I don't know. I may now change my mind on what I was going to do before. Sometimes we don't want to get our things out. We don't want to get our stamps out. Too much work. Then we've got to clean up. We've got to, get our stamp chamois wet or whatever we're using to clean. When it comes to dies, that's even more, right? To get our dies out, our die machine, to get the dies out. So a lot of times what I will do is, if you're going to get the stuff out, you know what? Why don't you do yourself a favor and create for the future, right? So really what I'm doing here is I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. Here, I'm trying all three colors to see what I like best. And then whichever two I don't like, I'll just save those and use them for something else down the road. That's already done for me. So all my stamping's done right there. And I could stamp all that together because my next step is I'm going to die cut them out with that die. So Pam said I have an issue with the eraser particles on the stamps, even when I wash. So Pam, you're probably erasing too hard. You really should have, very little of the little, I call them eraser tailings. You shouldn't have many of those at all. So you may be just erasing too hard. So maybe try next time not erasing this hard. All right. So now we're going to get out our die set. And I'm only doing the circle die on this guy. I'm not doing the others. Okay. And let's get out our plates. So I have pulled out my little die cutting machine. This is an electronic machine. This is an Anna Griffin Empress Mini. This fits all of our dies. So it's this little guy, about 8 pounds. It's a heavy little workhorse. If you've not worked with a die cutting machine before, there are basically two kinds. A bunch of different people make them, but there are basically two kinds. One is electronic and one is manual. Manual meaning you have to crank it in order to pull your plates with the die through. And this is where you put your plates with the die. This one's electronic, so I press around and it does the work for me. Basically, we are making a sandwich, all right? My bottom plate, bottom of my sandwich, the bread. We have my magnetic mat. In this case, the machine comes with a magnetic mat. That is my next layer. My next layer would then be whatever I am die cutting. I'll put that down. My next layer then becomes the die, right? I want to put the die with the raised side down. That is what's going to cut out my paper. So let's do this right here. And because my machine is magnetic, I don't have to tape that die down. If your machine, because my plate is magnetic, I don't have to tape that die down. If you are not working with a magnetic mat, maybe your machine doesn't have a magnetic mat, then you can do something like take your highlighter tape or washi. You want to tack that down temporarily so it doesn't move as it's going through the machine. And then your top plate. I made a little sandwich, and I am going to put that in that center, turn it on, and press run. So it just pulled that through, and pop that out. There's one. And while I'm here, that's why I did all 3 of these, because I have my machine out. It is really easy to do that. Next one. So these little machines I do have on my website, and I also have the extra plates. So the machine comes with the set of plates. Ooh, I was a little bit off on that one. But yeah, you can buy the plates, you know, if you need replacement plates down the road, then you've got those too. All right, now let's look at that. And we'll put that guy in, and then we'll decide which color we like there. All right, there we go. Get these guys put away and move this guy off to the side. So you could do that with your scissors, right? Oopsie. Turn that off. You could do that with your scissors. You could fussy cut, just a little bit easier, a little bit faster. All right, so now I need to put this away. I don't want to miss. What did I do with that? I have them all lined up here to put things away, so why aren't they there? Why isn't that there? This is usually when I say, okay, guys, what did I do with that package? Oh, I just threw it. All righty. Put that guy back down. I just need to, I need to get these put away on my magnetic mats, so easier to store. All right, so now let's come back in here and decide. Do we like the little orange right here? Again, this little guy is what is going to tell me what this is all about. Orange. I think pink is going to be too much. I mean, pink is, right? Pink, everything tends to blend in a little bit. And then the blue, way too much tends to blend in. I'm going to do one more thing really quick here, and then I will decide. So I'm going to grab my black. This, in my opinion, well, this is the only black I use, the VersaFine Clair Sucanico. It's a pigment-based ink, and it gives me a nice, really solid impression. Pigment. I find, especially with black, if I am using, I don't remember if I joined that off or not. If I am using a dye-based ink with black, it does not give me the cover that I want. It's just really blotchy. All right, now I've got a little, I can see, right over here I've got a little blob of something. When you're stamping, whether you have a chamois or damp paper towel or something, it's just good to have it with you because, you know, it's right there and it's handy and you're not having to stop and go, you know, clean your stamp elsewhere and dry that off really well. We'll try that one more time. Okay, there we go. I think, let me just make sure that we're okay up there. Oh yeah, all right. Oh, no, Leo, there was a reason I did that. There was a reason I was doing that. That fit on there? Hang on. Where's my, we'll just try it on here. I'm gonna stamp this one more time because this is the whole reason I was doing this, was to see if I wanted those in color or not. So let's get to a cleaner page so we can really see. All right. So what I was thinking, this is what I was saying, a kind of a little tip that you could use if you did not have a lot of different colors of stamping ink. If you have markers or colored pencils or something like that, you can take, especially with this style, oh, those aren't the ones I want, especially with this style of stamp, the in the box stamps are all like this, where they have that double outline with that. Sorry, I've spilled like pencils everywhere. Somehow, yeah. With that double outline, you can color it in. And that's how you can get color with your black stamp, or sorry, with your black ink. All right, so let's just use this little guy for example. I can come in here and color. I'll bring it up to the camera in a second. I'm gonna just make, this is gonna look kind of messy because I'm not really paying close attention, just so you can kind of get a feel for what it looks like. All right, so there, that totally changed the look of that stamp. And that's how I could bring color in, by kind of going in between those little lines. If I wanted to just do everything. No, and then no, I'm not gonna do that. I think everything has to be color. I'm gonna stamp it in color. So we're gonna come back up here with this. We'll do our orange right there. And then we'll do the different colors in there. Okay. Oopsie. This guy is going to go right here. Things I want to bring in and out of 2026. Okay, so there's my little title. Now we are going to stamp these guys, and we're basically just going to kind of follow the configuration like we had on that. So my list in this case, I am having 3 things on the in and 3 things on the out. So 1, 2, 3 in my list. But this list will look a little bit different than maybe like your grocery list would, right? Because your grocery list would have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You probably wouldn't be writing those things 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But these are going to have just a little bit more information in them, because I'll just talk a little bit more about what I'm doing, what I plan to do with these things, what they mean. All right, so this bottom one needs to be orange. I think this one needs to be pink, and that one needs to be blue, because we're separating the orange, we're separating the blue, and then I think it'll work itself out a little bit more there. Now, I've got this little bit, I have a little bit of an issue right here. I have just created this trapped white space, right? That is going to look a little bit odd. So I either find a die cut or sticker to put there, or in this case, I probably just lift this little piece up and move it down a little bit, because I don't want that trapped white space in there. And it's okay to have just a little bit, maybe like that. There. All right, so we said we'd do pink on this one, right? Pink, 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 pink. Let's see. Too big. We won't use the yellow, or the yellow. We won't use the circle again. All right. Will the What a Day stamp set be restocked? It is retired, Stargazer. Yeah, thanks, Amy. Yeah, it's retired. This year, as we've moved to doing, monthly releases, it was just time to retire some stamps, because we've done a lot of stamps. All right, so this guy needs to be bigger stamping block. Is this guy thing? Not quite. So in my stamping blocks that I use, that's what I have. I got that guy. Now, sometimes this feels a little bit awkward to me. Trying to do that feels a little bit awkward. You know what doesn't feel awkward? This. So the way I can stamp like this is if I rotate my paper, right? So let's just make sure this will be at the top. So if something like this feels a little bit awkward, don't be afraid to rotate this and then obviously rotate whatever you're stamping on. This is much more comfortable for me than vertically. All right, so this is my pink. Let's get rid of this pink, my picked raspberry. There we go. Get that little guy inked up, and I can already see I've got something on there. Let's see what happens. Because I had a little bit of that with the black, and it was okay. So I'm just curious what that's going to look like. Yeah, no, it's good. I just need a little bit more ink on there. Now, if I was a mixed media person, you know what I would do? Did you see that I just test stamped on? I have like a whole bunch of ink for some reason on the paper. You could definitely watercolor your paper or do something cool like that with it first and then come in and stamp on top of it. That would look really cool. So we wanted this to be down a little bit, right? Nice even pressure. Isn't that cute? So cute. And it's nice and detailed. That spacing in between those lines are so nice. That is generally the difference between a photopolymer stamp and an acrylic stamp. If you've ever looked at stamps, like you go to a big box store and you can get a 6x8 stamp set for $3.12. Generally speaking, that is not a photopolymer stamp. That is going to be an acrylic-based stamp. And in the manufacturing process, the detail that you can get in a photopolymer stamp versus an acrylic stamp is night and day. And that's why you see, you know, cost difference manufactured in generally different countries. And all right, so this little guy is going to be our blue, right? And then this little guy will be our orange. So we decided we could have a little bit of blank space there. Orange. You guys, this one's taken a long time. Not all of my lists take this long, and not all of your lists have to take a long time, right? Some of you are like, and I'm out. There's no way I could do this. I don't have enough time. I could never spend this much time. And I say, you know what? You do you. But I also say, when I am creating like this, I'm getting a lot of different things out of it. Number one, I'm documenting, right? Ooh, nope. Wrong color. This is the wrong color. It needs to be this. It needs to be the blue, or the teal, or whatever. No, so I'm documenting, right? I am basically documenting my life. That is kind of for me first and foremost what I get out of this. But number two, it's the creative play. The creative play is a huge part of it too. I really like to be creative. Really like to be creative. And if I don't get a little bit of creativity every day, I really miss it. So this is also very much creative play. It gives me a chance to create and kind of play, but with a purpose, right? Ooh, with a purpose. And if you're a get her done kind of person, you know what? Get out your paper. I always say there's only two things you need to do. Two things you need to have to do what we do. One is something to write with, one is something to write on. Beyond that, knock yourself out. Have fun with whatever you have. You don't have to buy all the things. And play. All right, now we're ready for our orange. Sorry about that. Sometimes I can do really well multitasking, talking and thinking and working at the same time, but sometimes not so much. But at least I caught that. Now, if I was paying any attention to the chat, which I am not right now, if I was paying any attention to the chat, I probably would look up and it would say, Lael, wait, you were going to do don't do that color there. You were going to do the other color. And you would have prevented me from doing that. But I caught it. All Then that's our orange. Again, I am going to end up, oh no, I don't want to do that sideways. It's the vertical. The vertical is always kind of feels really awkward to me. So that's when I find if you rotate, it just makes life a little easier. This stamp set also, I showed examples during the reveal or unboxing of the release. I showed some different examples of what a couple people on the design team had done with this. But Rachel Newman did some really cool things. We'll talk about that one in a second. Her husband was quoted for something. And the article appeared in the Washington Post or Wall Street Journal, some major news publication. He's an attorney. And so she actually, what she was documenting was about that, kind of about his quote. And, all right. So remember I said we'll talk about that in a minute, and I didn't notice this before. I didn't notice this is what happened. I do not have this stamp set down flat. Did you see how there was a little bit of orange in the center when I test stamped that? I don't have this stamp set down flat. There is a bubble right there. I can see the bubble. I don't know if you guys can see that bubble or not. That bubble means I did not get it flat down on the block. And that's why there was a high point. That is why the center of that actually had ink on it. There was a high point because there was a big bubble. Just took it off and laid it back down, and now it's flat. So we should be good to go now. But you know what? That's why we test. That is why we test stamp first, because that's how you know if everything's going to look good. That's how you identify problems ahead of time before they happen. And that would have made me sad. I wouldn't have changed it. I mean, I wouldn't have come back in and redone it, because I would have been like, oh, well, now it's decorative. Now it's got a little bit of mixed media look to it because it's got ink in the center. The other thing you may notice, I'm really paying attention that I am just trying to hit those edges and not the center. But that was the problem. That's why I did that. Now let's just double check. Ooh, look at that. You could also use this to frame a word. That wasn't planned. All right, good. Good. Oh, well, you know what I should have done? I think probably what we're going to do, I'll do this left side. I don't know. I should have been doing the same thing on the right side as we went. This is going to be a long one. You know what? It is time for a giveaway. It's time for a giveaway. If you've never joined me before, since day one, last 6 years, when we do our listing, I always do giveaways. I like to do giveaways. I like to share. You guys have supported me through the years, and one of my love languages is gift giving, and I like to do that. So you guys have now helped support my business and put me in a position where I can do that even more. So we will do a couple of live giveaways today. The way the giveaways work, they take place in the chat. All right, they take place in the chat, and since we're live, that's pretty much the only way we can do them. You can't raise your hands or fill out a little slip or something. So in the chat, I want you to tell me, what is one thing that you are going to bring into 2026 or take out, push out of 2026 this year? All right. I will do a little bit of writing in here, so I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that, and then I will draw. Random lucky winner will win. How about this? How about your choice of any of the new stamp sets? You get to pick whatever stamp set that you want that is brand new from the February release. And if you win and you already bought them all, that's okay. You don't have to pass. I'll let you pick another stamp set. All right. Okay. So now, things I want in and out of 2026. Tell me in the chat. In travel, book club, monthly recap, clutter out. Ooh, yes. Get rid of clutter. A couple of you. External validation. Hawthorne, you just said that so much better than I could, because I kind of have something similar on my list. External validation is out. You're not relying on other people to validate you. More self-love. I love it. Stuff in the storage room. I want to bring in more crafting, reading, more books, reading. This is the first time with you. Let's see. I'm bringing in WWJD first. So Tracy's, is that what would Jesus do? I think that's what that means. WWJD, good for you. And I love that this is your first time with us. Bringing in more peace. Nice, Shannon. So here's the thing. If you're watching live and you are kind of like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm bringing in and out, look at the chat. lots of different ideas for you. If you're stumped, I bet you can read some of these things and go, oh wow, okay, lots of people saying clutter. Lots of people saying reading. I think they're not bringing clutter in and taking reading out. I think it's the opposite. Self-love, so important. Exercise, yes. Reorganizing kids' bedroom. Out is weight stress. Absolutely. In intentional movement. You guys have such a good way of wording the things that I have on my list. Way better than I worded them. In travel, out doom scrolling. Oh yes, doom scrolling. The worst. In getting together, out doing things that don't make me happy. You know what? A lot of this wisdom comes with age, right? You guys know it. Out overthinking, Christy said. Lots of decluttering out. I love that. Pirate Wench, bringing in more positive attitude in my daily life. So you guys, and again, just if you're just joining us, this is kind of resolutions, right? But this is a much easier way to look at your resolutions. What are things you want in your life and what are things you want out? And now it's then up to you to kind of make these happen, right? All right, so the first on my list is, this has to do with procrastination. It has to do with a lot of things. It is basically being 100% prepared for our Saturday listing sessions on Friday. Equals my Saturday AM stress-free and relaxing. This may not sound like a big thing to you, but this is huge for me. I'm not there. Nick said to me this morning, well, wait a minute. I thought, because we talk about, he and I have talked about everything. We have a very open, communicative, I got to be careful when I say open marriage. That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. But we talk about lots of things. And so usually in the mornings where he's like, so what's on your list of things today while we're having coffee, we're chit chatting. And he knows this is something that I talked about because he sees me on Saturday mornings running around with my chicken, running around like a chicken with my head cut off for hours. Cause I'm like, oh wait, hold on. What am I doing? What's this going to look like? I didn't do the pictures. Blah, blah, blah. This is so much stress. So one of the things I'm bringing in to 2026 is Friday having everything done and ready to go. So that Saturday morning is more relaxing. I stroll in, I turn on the lights and we go. All right. So that's one of the things that is on my in list. Quality time with kids. Jolene said, Debbie, more organized. Mary, more craft time, less concern with wasting time on crafting time. You know what? If you watch TV, right? Take the TV time away and bring your crafting time in. Like, how come it's okay for us to waste time watching TV or waste time reading a book, but it's not okay to waste time crafting, right? It's just where we choose to spend our time. I love that. Vicky, 95% organized, 5% squirrel. Is that what you're saying I am? Or is that what you're saying that I am going towards here? Yeah, sometimes a little bit more squirrel comes in than I would like. Next thing. Yeah, someone said a great way, I don't remember who it was, but they said something about, maybe it was intentional exercise. Maybe that was it. I'm going to borrow that phrase. Intentional exercise. Making it a priority and part of my daily routine. So here's the thing. Vacation Lael is really good at this. Surprise, surprise. Very good at that. We get up wherever we are and we walk every day. And we were in Hawaii and that's an easy place to walk. Every day. 5 miles sometimes. That is so easy. Why I can't bring this home, I don't know. So really making that an intentional part of what I do. All right. And the third thing on my ins list is, oh gosh, I got to get a handle on this. To once and for all, get a handle on my short fuse and lack of patience. Now, most of you have no idea that that is a core part of my personality. Vicky? Oh, Vicky knows that, right? Vicky knows this so well, so well. I don't know. And the older I get, I'm like so impatient. I'm at the store and someone's like this, just one thing at a time on the belt for the grocery store checkout. And I'm like, and like you can physically see me, like you can visibly see me like about have an out of body moment. Now I would never say something to someone, but it's like, Leo, what's your problem? Why do you have what's wrong with your patience level? Why can't I get a control of that? Why am I freaking out that it's taking an extra 35.2 seconds for someone to do something that I would have done in, none of the time. So that I really need, because that adds a lot of stress to my life. Also, my short fuse. And I very much keep this close to, not many people know this about me at all, but I fly off the handle like that. Ask Nick. All of this, I find it is adding more stress to my life that I don't need, right? No, life is stressful. I don't care what you do, who you are, life is stressful, right? We've all had stress in our lives. Why am I letting those things make me be more stressed? I shouldn't, all right? Okay, so now here's the deal. We'll do our giveaway in 1 second. Responsible selfishness. See, you guys are so good. Responsible selfishness. I gotta write that down because I just need to remember that term. Responsible selfishness. And Hawthorne Taylor, I think you also said something else that really resonated with me, the way that you worded it. I am going to tell you the things on my outs list. And I'm going to say, for the sake of time, that we're going to move on from this list. I will finish it up, but this one has taken a long time and I want to make sure we can continue. So let me tell you what they are. Jumping to conclusions. Nick and I have had this conversation for years, and I think I finally realized why I'm always, sorry. This is a different one. Jumping to conclusions. Jumping way too fast to conclusions about everything. The second one is assuming everything is a criticism. This is a problem I have. You ask me why I did something one way, and I instantly assume you're criticizing me, and then I start defending. So and this happens most often with Nick. And I think it goes back to my childhood and some issues with my dad. I mean, I think it's really deep-seated. But I've got to stop that, because just because someone asks me a question doesn't mean that they're criticizing me. So, and then another one, working on the weekends. Now, there's a Loverboy song that says everybody's working for the weekend, meaning you're doing all your work because you want to enjoy the weekend. I always work. I work not 24/7, but I work 7. I work 7 days a week and more than 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. You own your own business, and I don't turn off well. I'm a very driven person. That's my personality, so I don't turn off well. I'm to the point in my life where I have to stop working on the weekends. I really have to add some boundaries, because I can always work. I can always work, but I really need to have more of a, that doesn't mean I won't keep doing my Saturdays, because Saturdays are Saturdays and I'm not giving that up, but I need to stop working on the weekends. All right, so those are my other 3 things. The way I will finish this up is I will be doing, 3 boxes like this. And then I haven't even used any of this cuteness of some of the die cuts for this collection. So I had pulled a couple of these out, and now you can see where I pulled the color palette from, right? So somehow we'll figure out how to, I don't know, we may end up doing something like that. We may end up doing something like this over here. And this, I actually kind of like that. I need to add one more thing, and we'll have to figure out later what I add, because this to me is weird. I need to have 3 of these. I need to have something else that goes over here, but we'll figure that out. So right now, so I don't lose these, and so I don't forget that this is what I wanted to do. I'm going to put this here, and then I'm going to stop. I got to do our giveaway. You guys are like, oh my gosh, Lil, come on already. So this is actually spanning both pages. And then, oopsie. Then the idea is I turn this over and cut. Okay, so it lines up perfectly. And then we'll do that over here as well. And then we'll do our giveaway. And then I'll finish this later. And there we go. So what that is going to mean, this is going to have to look totally different, right? Because I just filled in that space. So this will end up looking like, did you just see Reggie hop up there? This will end up being there, right? Because that's really where that needs to go. And then we'll have to figure out, this one might end up being, oh, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out how that's going to work. This guy may need to drop down a little bit. Maybe made him a little bit too high based on how all those other pieces are going to play. This might have to go down a little bit more like that. All right, so start on my first list, and I will date this somewhere when we're done, because to me that's really important that you date things. Now what we're going to try to do is come back to this a couple times throughout the year. How are we doing on these things that we're bringing in and taking out, right? Because it's nice to kind of give progress on what's happening. Okay, so now I can come in here. Actually, let me stop. Let's do our giveaway. Yes, so Maureen, the wow and the yay are both from the die cuts. So, oh, they're all over the floor. Actually, and I haven't even had a chance, hang on, I'm talking to the floor. I haven't even had a chance to do any kind of unboxing yet to show you guys this collection. Simple Stories made some pretty big changes to their collections with this release. Stop. Giveaway, and then I'll talk. Giveaway. Scrolling, and hang on. Okay. Stopping at Pam Mackus. Pam, congratulations, Pam. You are the random lucky winner of our first giveaway. Pam, you get to pick whatever stamp set you want from the new release. So you choose. Pam, please shoot an email to lailbymail@gmail.com. Please put the name of the stamp you would like in the subject line with winner. And in the body of the email, your name and address, and the team will get that off to you this week. So congratulations, Pam, and you guys, we will continue. We'll do more giveaways, and we'll do one with each list. What I was saying, Simple Stories really changed up the way they do products with this release. Number one, their die cut packs are double the size that they have been. So this one is 94 pieces, the bits and pieces. Maureen, this is where I got the yay and the wow from. And this is where pretty much all of these pieces that you saw in my flat lay are all from. So it greatly increased the number of die cuts in a pack. Now what that means, they also increased the price. So but when you look at like that, and this image you can see on my website, but lots to play with. And what I like about that means you can, your collections kind of last you a little bit longer, and that you can get, for me, as I'm making my lists, I can get more lists out of a same collection that look totally different because I can focus on the little fruit. So I can focus on the fruit in one of my lists. I can focus on all the scallops in one of my lists. I can kind of do some different things. They also have changed the way they do their stickers. So they used to do 12 by 12 stickers that were just one flat sheet. Now they come in a 2 6 by 12. So basically they'd be kind of the same type of stickers, but they also have two different sticker packs. These are the icons. These are the basics. I sold out of the basics right away. Simple Stories is also sold out of those basics. Some Kit Club or something must have picked them up. All right, so I think I got everything I wanted to say there. All their die cut packs are bigger. Price is reflective of that, but more options. All right, so now we need to do this. Let's talk about what our next list is, all right, while I'm cleaning up. Our next list is, where does this go? Our next list is what a day. Our next list is what a day. Hang on, my brain has to think now. I can't talk and think at the same time. Sometimes. There we go. Our next list is what a day. This one we've been doing about 2 years. It's one of our, what I call a time capsule list. So time capsule list, meaning it is a list that is very specific to a point in time. I pick a day a month and I write down what I did that day. And then I make a list of what I did that day. That is a really great way to show the passage of time and how things change over time. I wish I'd been doing this when I was in high school or college or when I was a new mom, right? My life is so different now than when I was a new mom. So a lot of times it's kind of hard to document that level of detail in your life, right? That, if you have babies, you may be feeding them 5 times a day. So your life looks really different. And then you're trying to do all the work when they're sleeping or all the housework or, whatever it is. That's a very different time of life than when you're an empty nester, if you have kids. Or maybe you're a career person. Maybe you don't have any kids and your career has changed. Now you're retired, right? It's very different now. Your list of what you do now is very different than what you did when you were working a full-time job. So it's just kind of a fun way to create a little time capsule of what your world looks like at any given point in time. You'll notice on the right page, I used my tape gun, and on the left page, I am using double-sided tape. The reason for that is when you get really deep into your traveler's notebook insert, this side tends to not want to stick. So I use that just heavier duty adhesive so that everything sticks along that edge. All right, so there we go. And see, if I was using my regular adhesive, there's no way that would stay down. Okay, now our next list, as I was saying, what a day. Now, as we were getting that list ready, and I turned over my paper to, hang on, hold please. I turned over my paper to put my adhesive on it, right? I'm like, oh, wait a minute. We like this. I really like this. Let me scroll back down. It validates you. There you go. Hawthorne Taylor, yes. We've been at that one for about 2 hours, and so I'm going to finish that one up. I'll finish that one up off camera, and we'll take a look at it when we're together next. All right. So I really liked this, right? I had taken my 6x8, and I cut it, and I went, oh, wait a minute. This is really cute. So this is going to be the base for my next list. Most of my lists I'm going to say are two pages. Every once in a while, I do a single. So that is going there. And I'm going to have this stay right there, right? I don't need to use 2 pieces of paper on this. So that's just going to stay right there. I will need to use that. Golly, I just had that. Did I put it away? My tape? No. All right, did I throw it at the cat? Reggie's sitting right behind the camera. He's like, come on already. Come on, aren't you done yet, Mom? Oh, no, come on. I so flippantly, move things out of the way, and I have not cleaned anything up. I'm going to start losing things. And then forget that I need it. No clue. No clue. No clue what happened to that. All right, well, we'll just grab another one. We will just grab another one. A thinner one. All right. So this guy is going to go right here, so it needs to be on this inside right here. Oh, hello, mister. Look who decided to grace us with his presence. Yeah. How am I supposed to do any work there, Reggie? Oh, and now we're going to just have his tail in the camera. Just his tail is going to be there. So I'm just seeing something in the chat. Virginia, what's going on, hun? You just had something big, it sounds like. All right, there we go. Whoopsie. The tail flip. I know, he's deciding that that is exactly where he wants to be. I guess we'll work around him. Because if you know cats, you know. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. He wants to help. He would like to be part of our listing session. He'd like to be one of the girls, even though he's a guy. Hey, but you know what? Anyone can participate in what we do. You don't have to be a girl or a guy or a cat or a dog or I don't know. I know. He's a little bit high. I mean, come on, dude. Like, really? All right. So let's get this little outline. I love the design of that paper. It looks like I was in the corporate world for a really long time. I have a very different background, I guess, different. Anyhow, when I first started out of college, I worked for AT&T, and this would have been back in the in 91, I guess. Started in 91. We didn't have email back then. We had fax machines. And if you needed to send something to another office, you used the inner office memorandum or mail or whatever, right? Use those ugly, yellow envelopes that had all the lines on them that were saying who they needed to go to, and then they'd get to the person in the office in Colorado, and then they'd cross it out, and they'd take whatever they needed out, and then they'd put whatever we're working on in and go to another office. That's kind of what those things remind me of, right? All right, so this is our what a day list. The day that I am documenting is the 5th. It's the 5th of February because we were originally going to do this list quite a while ago. Anyhow, so it's the 5th of February. Virginia. You're good, Virginia. Okay. All right. I know sometimes I miss so much in the chat and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What did I miss? Amanda, your mom worked for AT&T in the 80s. Big company. Right. Okay. So this is what a day. The 5th was a Tuesday. So what I thought I would do, get out. Thursday, sorry. 5th was a Thursday. I thought I would get out the days of the week stamp set. These, you guys, if you have not played with these, I'm going to show you something really quick. This is my memory planner. And I just finished this up yesterday. That is the week of the 19th. And look what I did. I used 3 different stamp sets here. I started out by stamping with the textures splatters. Dude! Well, this is hanging. Come on. Reggie, we're not playing. Please get down. Sorry. Oh, sorry, friends. And I totally jiggle the camera. Let's fix that. Where's Sam? Sam, hi, sweetie. What's going on? Hi, Mama. He's helping Nick in the warehouse. How's it going? Hey, Sam, take some pictures, okay? Oh, Reggie knows you're here. That's why he's up there. Okay. But what I did, I used the textures splatter stamp first to make that ink splatter, and then stamped in black, so we had a lot of contrast, each day of the week. And then, dude, Reggie. Okay, guys, hang on. I'm so sorry. Hold, please. Reg, dude, you're going to have to get locked out. I'm sorry, but I'm locking you out. Oh, let go of my shirt. Okay. He's a very smart cat. He knows how to open this door. So I have to put a big box in front of it. All right. That's just life. That's how you know that it is real and not scripted, because the cat comes into play. Anyhow, I was just saying that was a way that I used the Days of the Week stamp set. splatters, texture splatters, which is back in stock, and then stamped with the days of the week. And now he's clawing at the door because the door is glass. Anyhow, and then added some of my friend Vicki Booten's little die cuts from her first collection with Ferdinand Market, which was Flower Emporium. All right, these stamp sets, the days of the week and the months of the year, you can buy them individually or you can buy them in their sets or in their bundles. There are some great examples, again, from the design team that you'll see on the website of fun ways that they have used them and how I've used them. So what I was thinking is, ooh, what about that? I don't know. I like that there. If I do that there, then I need to do something else here, but that's kind of fun. Now, what I'm worried about is stamping on top of that. I mean, I can stamp on top of it, but I'm not sure how nice it might look. So guess what? You don't have to be a stamper to play. Where's my sticker book that I've already used? Oh, no, I can't. Can't do that because guess what? These are the months of the year. So, well, what I could do if I wanted is I already used February. I used February on my last list, so we could come in here and open up a new one. But I could do February there and then use a different Thursday over here, right? I know. You probably say we need to do a days of the week sticker book too. Lots of ideas for sticker books. That'll be coming. That'll be coming. It's just too many things that we want to do. No time. We just wrapped up the design on the next collection, which is in May, which is travel. And then also the summer fall season pass. Not spring summer. That one's already done. That one's here. Ooh, I think it has to go there. That with that bright color, don't you? There we go. Okay, easy. Sticker, way easier than stamp sometime, right? And especially if you want something to be a little bit more bold and to show, because then I wouldn't end up with, if I had stamped, we would have seen behind those open spaces, we would have seen the pattern show through, which wouldn't be a bad thing, but all right. Next up, now we've got over here. So we could do our Thursday over here. Then we could, that's nice. I think then we've got kind of a, tied together thing. So I think we will also probably, I don't know, do we want to do black there? Maybe not. Maybe we should do picked raspberry. Picked raspberry there? I think. Let's do picked raspberry. You know how long it took me to get to the point where I could stamp with colored ink? And that was an evolution too. I would always just stamp with black ink just because that's what I liked. All right, so I am still stamping in, I'm stamping in my Traveler's Notebook, right? So there's a couple things if you were stamping directly on the page, as opposed to this where we stamped on paper and then attached it. If you're stamping directly on the page, you need to check for two things. Well, check for one thing and then do one thing. You want to check to see what you did over here before you do anything here. Over here, if I had done my list directly on the page, if I stamp this right here, that's going to be a pretty solid stamp. My inserts are very nice quality, but because this is such a solid stamp with so much kind of your solid letters being so large and solid, you'd end up with a little tiny bit of ghosting or shadowing on this back side, which in this case, it's not going to matter because we'll never see it because there's paper there. If I had done this list directly on the page, I might want to change my tune and maybe put this over here and this over here and we'd be okay. The other thing that I want to do, I want to give myself a flat surface to stamp on. When we did this list in our stamping, we didn't have to worry about that because we were stamping directly on my work surface. But because this page is connected, I can't stamp directly on my work surface. So I'm basically giving myself a flat surface to stamp on, and that is using a pencil board. Pencil board is a fancy name for a flat surface that you slide under something to give you a flat surface to stamp on, more stability to stamp on. Because depending on what I've done over here, if I was stamping down here, I might have a problem because there's a couple different layers, right? I might run into this and this, two different layers. If I put, well, I can't really do anything about that on this side, but if it had happened over here, then we can kind of make up for that. All right. Get that nice and inky. And we want to test that because we always test it, right? You'll never regret that. Like that. I've got a little something. I can see I've got a little something right there on the U. And if I had really paid attention before I started, I probably would have noticed that, maybe. And you know what? That's just going to happen. I mean, your stamps have a sticky factor to them, right? And they're a little bit sticky. And so things are going to attach to them sometimes. Lint, dirt, dust, whatever. Get it clean. And let's try that again. Yeah, we'll be good. I got a little something there. Okay, I just need to really ink that up now. When the more stamping that you do, you'll start to get a feel for, like you always see me turn it over because I'm just trying to look to make sure that I pretty much have ink everywhere, right? Looks pretty good. The top, bottom. All right, now we're ready. So we're going to do our Thursday right here. When you're stamping, you want to stamp with confidence. You want to stamp with confidence. Question, that looks like December, not February. Jolene, I have taken some of the pages out. The pages are out because they went out for photography, so everything gets deconstructed for photography. So I just pulled the pages out to make it a little bit easier to work with because they're all loose. But yes, you are correct. One side was November, or one side was December, and then the other side was February because all of those inside pages in between are out. All right, now, there we go. All clean, put this guy away. And I have lots of different Thursdays. When it comes to this stamping set, if you missed this, I encourage you to go to layoutbymail.com and click on the blog. There's a little drop down when you get to the blog where you can kind of sort blog posts or narrow them down. About 2 weeks ago, we introduced a new series called 5 Ways. And you will start to see us do this throughout the year with different types of stamp sets. And the first one that kicked it off was 5 ways to use days of the week stamp sets. All right. So 5 ways to use. Laura Lee Murphy, one of my design team members, did it with the days of the week. And she did an amazing job. So I encourage you to go look at that. And she shows you everything she did. She talks you through her ideas. But basically 5 different ways to use stamp set. Jerry Parks. Hello, Jerry. First time here. Do you have any videos on travel notebook for keeping track of movies? I do not. However, there are some, I'm trying to think. There are a number of samples on my website where people have kind of been tracking, do a spread about the movies they're watching. And there are also some people that do them about the books that they're reading. So you could try going to the website and search for movies and search for reading or books and see if some of the examples pull up that way. But welcome to you too, Jerry. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Oh, and thank you, Amy. Amy just linked the link to the post for the 5 ways to use the Days of the Week stamp set series. Alrighty, so now I need to basically just write somewhere. This is February 5th, right? So I don't need to get crazy. I don't need to stamp that. I could. Oh, I remembered what I was going to do. Well, never mind. No, I won't do that. So I'm just going to write here. Right here. February 5th. Okay, so this is Thursday, February 5th. Now, I need to separate that from whatever I did on the 5th. So normally you see me do something like this where I draw a couple of lines. But this particular collection in the regular die cuts has all of these fun things. Now, I wish with this one, because for me a scallop goes that way and then the print goes that way, so it means they're really that way, but I guess I could put that down at the bottom, but I really don't need that at the bottom. What I'd really like that to be, I would really like it to be this way, so it wasn't upside down, but I think that might bug me if it's upside down. So let's see what else we have. All these pre-made little scallop strips are done for us. No, I don't like that one. This one is kind of fun, but no, right? So why did I choose not to do that one? I feel like I need more color there, right? I had pulled a couple, I needed color, and that gave me the black and white. It helped with the black over here, but it's just not enough of a, doesn't give me enough of a pop that I want. So this guy could work, right? He could work. The only problem with him is he's just one shade darker than that, which that's going to bug me. So let's look at something here really quick. Oh, you know what I could do? I could come in with my little, no, I was going to say I could fussy cut one of those, but you know what? Ain't nobody got time for that. Let's look at the stickers. Let's see if we have a sticker that we could use. There's a pink. Ooh, what about this guy? Oh, or there's a black. All right. These are the icon stickers. So let's see what we have. You guys want to know a little secret? With the travel collection, my travel collection that's coming out in May, we have stickers. And they will be just like this, although none of this, right? You've got 2 6x12 sheets in a nice little package. So for the first time, we're going to have stickers with our collection, and we'll continue to do those going forward. So we've got this little guy. I think maybe this little guy would be nice. Right there. Right? Don't you think? He's like the perfect little size. It's like exactly what we need. But he's not even. So let's see. We have so many fun things coming, you guys. I wish I could just show them all to you now. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to. We got to keep some suspense. Right? Got to keep it coming back for something. All right, so now we're ready for our list. I need some little, no little stickers. Okay, so I need just some little bullets, some little bullet stamps, because this is going to be a run-on list. All right, this is going to be a run-on list, as opposed to, well, the one we did before. This would be a numbered list, right? So instead of a numbered list, like and you have to make that sound when you do it, instead of a numbered list, it's going to just be a run-on list. And because it's a run-on list, I need to have something to separate each item on my list, which would be a bullet stamp. So let's see what we want to use here. What little thing? We could just use a little flower, right? I mean, little flower, that's probably easy. Since we've got some flowers over here, let's do that. There are 3 Bullets and More stamp sets. Bullets and More 1. This is one of the very first stamp sets I released. Because so many of our lists either have bullets or numbers. That's kind of a good all-in-one. Bullets and More 2, lots of icons. And then Bullets and More 3, lots more icons. One of the questions I get asked often is, if I'm just starting out, what should I buy? And I say, if it was me just starting out, the one stamp I would start out with, one stamp set would be Bullets and More or Bullets and More 2. The reason for that is Bullets and More, you have 3 sets of numbers and then kind of a whole bunch of, basic little icons. Bullets and More 2, same concept, but just lots of different themed icons. So I use those almost on every list. All right, so now we need a color, right? We don't want to use black. And I feel like we need a little bit more color over here. However, I really don't want to use pink again, and I really don't want to use teal again. So when we look over here and see, there's a little bit of orange, but not much. That might stand out like a sore thumb. Let's look. Let's just take a looky here. So I have swatched all of my Distress Oxides. That makes it really easy when we get to a step where we're trying to find a color, to just scroll, as opposed to, I mean, that goes, but that would just seem really weird to me. No. To scroll through, flip through, I guess, as opposed to getting out every single one of your colors or thinking, oh, do we want yellow? Do we want, I mean, mustard seed could work, right? I mean, it's more, a little bit more of an accent, but that's kind of what we have going on here, right? I don't know. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Mustard seed. Mustard seed. All right. Now, before we get too much further, let's decide, do we need to add anything else in here? I feel like this is so decorative and this is going to be really plain. So let's figure out what we might want to add. While we've got stickers out, we might as well kind of keep going with that. So if we wanted to bring in the floral, we have this one and this one. So what if we did, set that there for a minute. I don't know, it looks like we just plunked it down, which is what we did. Doesn't look very intentional. What if this one went up here? Kind of in a way. That's so interesting. Oh, I'm like, why does that have blue at the top of it? Look at this. Very, very interesting. That header on their packaging has a little bit of blue in the sticker right there. So guess what? We could embrace this. You know how we can embrace this? We could put that right there and you're never even going to see it. Done. Now, it may look a little odd with my mustard seed here. We'll have to see. Let's put this sticker back because we decided he doesn't work. And what if we did, what if we did that right there? We like that there? It's kind of the perfect size, isn't it? Or we turn it upside down. Maybe it needs to be upside down. Or not upside down, right side up. There we go. I think that works. All right. Okay. Now in this one, we definitely are relying on the paper to do pretty much all of the design for us, right? That just makes it easy. All right. So now we're ready. Now we have to see if mustard seed. Now mustard seed might not look so good on here anymore. Let's look. Let's just check it out. I know Terry's got me. She said it all in uppercase. Yellow, you know you want to use your signature color. I love yellow. I really do. So look, let's see. I mean, it's, you know what? It's not perfect, but I think it is going to probably be, I think it's going to work. We'll make it work. All right. So now maybe the yellow makes a little bit more sense. I don't know. Okay, there we go. First item on my list. What did I do when I first, on this? I got ready. Well, I woke up and got ready for the day. Now, hopefully on your list, if you're doing a what a day, that you woke up, right? Maybe you didn't get ready for the day though. That's okay. If you didn't get ready for the day and you stayed in your pajamas, that's all day. That's totally okay, right? Totally okay. I woke up and got ready for the day. Then, what did I do? Ooh, I set up the light box for photography. I have a big light box that is great for photographing things for social media. I don't photograph for our list. Amy does that because I'm nowhere near a good enough photographer for that. But I did that because then I met with Jill. Met with Jill to set February social media calendar and photograph projects. Jill is a new member of our team. Jill is now part-time working for me to help with a lot of photography for projects that I need right away for social media. She's been doing some reels for me for Instagram. And because she's doing those things, it's really forced me in a good way to sit down and really think a lot about my social media and the calendar and the projects that we're sharing and how they tie into the marketing that we're doing and da 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 da. And it's just things I've never had time to do before because I can't do it all, right? Can't do it all. And I'm now to the point where I can hire someone to help do that, which is very exciting. So yes, she did an amazing reel. If you're on Instagram, go to Lael Konkar on Instagram, and look for the reel. It's within the last probably 10 days that she did about the days of the week stamp sets. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. It's so cool what she did. So, and it just helps. Some of you may know Jill. Jill's been in the industry for a really long time. Jill Broadbent. She worked for Close to My Heart for a long time, like 18 years. And the way I really got to know her, she lives in Utah, but she was one of the producers on one of our local morning shows. And she had reached out to me about 2 years ago and said, hey, we'd love to have you come on and do a segment on the local morning show. And I did. And so, you run in the same circles, you're in the same industry, you both live in Utah. And that was the key for this. I had to have someone that lived in Utah. So, she's amazing. And then after that, so this was much later in the day, I had breakfast, which, was more like lunch, but was lunch at breakfast. Breakfast at lunchtime, right? Next up, we had I was going to say weekly, but I forgot, our product development call. That is a call that Becky and Amy and I do on a weekly basis, and that is where we're checking in, talking about the different products that are coming out in our next release, what's still outstanding, what needs to be done, and just kind of go through all of that. So this day was a lot because basically it was meeting after meeting, and that I don't do well with. Just because then I don't get anything else done, and then, then I still have things to do. So the next thing that came after that, I processed international orders. Now, let me just write this. Processed international orders. Lily and Denise handle all of that. Two other members of the team. Lily and Denise handle all of the order picking, processing, packing of the orders, kitting, everything, except for the international orders. International orders are a whole other beast unto themselves. Customs paperwork, there's just a lot to them. So I still do international orders. So I did those. And then I prepped for Saturday listing session. And email. And that is not the level of prep that I was talking about before that I want to have done on Fridays instead of Saturday mornings. That's basically photographing whatever the flat lay is, doing the blog post, figuring out the lists we're going to do, doing the email blast and all of that. So did that. And then Sam came over for a visit, and we had a nice conversation. And then basically after that, got ready for bed. Oh, I hear Reggie. Got ready for bed. He's standing out. He's very sad. He's out there crying. All right, so there we go. There is my what a day for February the 5th. What a day for me right now as a small business owner, empty nester, is very different than my what a day would have been when I was in college, Very different than when I was a new mom. Very different when I started a software company with two other guys. That was very different. It's all very different. And that's the whole point to me of doing a list like this, because there are these little mundane details of what your day looks like in very different points in time in your life. And so that I think is a great way to document. Super easy. That's another great list to start with. Just pick a day and document what you did for that day. I rarely use photos on something like this. You can, every once in a while I do, but we've done 2 lists today. We haven't used any photos on our lists. I would say, I don't know, it's maybe 40, 60, 60, 40, 65, 35, where most of my lists, I don't use photos. But the other, 35% of the time, maybe I do. What am I looking for? And here's the reason that not all of my lists have photos. I mean, because I'm a scrapbooker. I have been paper crafting since I was pregnant with Jack, and he is 28. Instagram. I don't remember her Instagram. This is how you can. I don't remember her. I don't remember her Instagram name. If you go look on the reel, if you're on Instagram, go look on the reel just from earlier this week about season pass being back in stock. And I think she's like the first person that commented on it. You guys will see 2 reels on my Instagram page. One for the days of the week stamp set and one for season pass being back in stock. And then, but she is posting as me on my account, so you wouldn't know that that was her, but then you'll see that she commented on it or something. And if you can't find it, if you shoot me an email, then I will remember to tell you what that was later. After I look. One of the things every time I do this list, I think, oh my gosh, I wish that my mother had been doing something like this, or my grandmother had been doing something like this. Think about that. Think about my grandmother's list from the 50s, how different that would be. Social media, what? In the 50s, there'd be nothing like that on there. And then my mom in the 70s, 1970s, how different would that list be? That is why, you guys, I do a lot of what I do. Because one day, my kids, or if we have grandkids, may go, oh my gosh, I would love to know what my grandma, or what my mom, me, right, at some point, what her day was like back in, we think of the 50s and it's like, oh my gosh, that was so long ago. Well, it was, because that was 70 years ago, right? But one day, kids or grandkids will be like, oh my gosh, I wonder what my mom or my grandma was doing in 2026, right? That is why this is so important to me. I love doing it. I love having fun. One of the other reasons I do this is because we socialize and have so much fun doing it. But it's also because you're documenting for down the road, right? Okay, so let's get these things put away. We have one more list to do, and we're going to try to hammer this one out pretty quickly. This one went pretty quick, right? Not all of your lists have to take, 2 hours like our last one did. Usually, the ones that take longer for me are the ones where I'm stamping, right? And that makes sense. That was a quick stamp. But when we did this guy, this, we stamped titles, we did a die cut, we stamped, So, that guy. That one took way longer. And then I chit-chat all the time, that. All right, so we're ready for our next list. I am going to start putting everything away. As I'm putting everything away, guess what time it is? It is time for another giveaway. So, you know the drill. And if you don't know the drill, just start chatting away in the chat. Because when I get all of this put away and get things out for our next list, I will stop and I will stop and then I will pick one random lucky winner. I just scroll my finger up and then that's how, wherever my finger stops, that's who wins. All right, our last list for today is another list that we have been doing. This one we've probably been doing maybe 4.5 years. When we started this morning, we looked at this list. And this is a list that we've been doing since August of 2020, and it's called About Last Month. where I just document, whatever happened during the month. Well, back in August of 2020, I hate to even take us back there, but if you remember, there wasn't a lot going on maybe in our worlds because of the pandemic. So when I made this list initially, for the first probably year, for me, I was mixing things in my life that were happening and then things that were happening in the news. And then when the world started kind of opening up again and I started doing more things, I found that I didn't have enough room to do both on the same list. So that's when I started breaking them out. We started doing a separate in the news list. Now we're going to talk about some things right off the bat that we need to hit right over the head. When it comes to in the news the news can be extremely polarizing, right? Because we all have our opinions. And a lot of the news that hits my radar is political. And I never talk about my political beliefs. Doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter to me what your beliefs are. Shouldn't matter to you what my beliefs are. But I make it a point when we do this list in the news, everything is fact. And it's not my opinion that it's a fact, it's everything that is a fact, right? So it comes out of the news, and here's an example. Catherine O'Hara died in January of 2026. That's a fact. You cannot dispute that. So everything on my list is fact. I do not ever share opinion when we do a list like this. In that example, I don't tell you if I love her or maybe I really disliked her. Because I don't want to ever get into that. That's just kind of a slippery slope. If I'm talking about my opinion on something like that, then it becomes really easy to talk about my opinions on other things that are in the news. So that is always my agreement to you. It is just the facts. And then I ask you guys to also kind of do the same thing. No chat about in the news. You can, if you're working on the list, you can say what you're putting on your list, but please no opinion. Because I know that nobody came here. You guys don't come here to get opinions on really, well, I give you my opinion on all kinds of things, but not politics or the news or anything like that. So that's our agreement. The other thing that I want to mention is when we started doing this list, I got all kinds of questions. Lael, where do you get your news? What news sources do you, TV, radio, podcasts, what is it? And 3 or 4 years ago, I put together a list of different emails that you can subscribe to. They're all free. Some of them are daily, some of them are weekly, and they run the gamut. So some are left, some are right, some are center. And again, doesn't matter where I get my news from in all of those left, right, center. But there's some just resources out there that I put together for you. So anytime that we do this list, and this list is on the blog for today in the news, I always link to that document if you wanted to download it and get your news from there. And then what I do is throughout the month, I keep a running note on my phone. I keep the same running note on my phone for this as I do for in the news. And then when I sit down to make this list, it's really easy because all I do is this. I come into my workbook and I write, oh, they're switched. I write my things down. All right, so now I'm going to try something because you guys, poor Reggie, I'm just going to see. Okay, come on. Come on, can you get in your bucket? You get in your bucket, okay? You're talking to me. You need to get in your bucket. Because I have to show you guys these. We're going to squirrel for a minute because, this is what I do. This is what was just outside of my door. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bubble envelopes. And if you look closely at these, you will see there are teeth marks in them. Now, don't worry. Usually what happens is when Lily and Denise are done working, all of this stuff is like not out. When Reggie gets frustrated, he figures out how to open drawers, and he gets these out. He has brought each of these up the stairs to me individually in his teeth. Now, we don't send these out. Once Reggie has got a hold of them, these don't get sent out, so don't worry. But what is happening here, cats are hunters. And one of the ways that cats show you that they love you is they jump on camera when you are trying to list. Oh, he's going to go in the bucket. He's going to the bucket. I think he sleeps in a thing on my desk. But so cats hunt. And one of the ways that they show you they love you is they bring you what they have hunted. So if you have an outdoor cat, sometimes they're bringing you some things that you might not want to, they've killed something and they're bringing it to you, but that's how they show you your love. So Reggie's an inside cat, but he still likes to hunt. And that is what he hunts. He hunts those little envelopes and he brings them up, and they were all outside the door. And he's bringing them to me because that's what he's hunted, and that's how he shows me that he loves me. Isn't that fun? All right, so let's do our giveaway now. I'm going to scroll up, stop and scroll up, and our winner is Jolene5596. She just so happened to say love giveaways. Now, I just scroll and where my finger stops. I don't, read as I'm scrolling and then pick someone based on that. So, Jolene5596, congratulations, Jolene. You are the random lucky winner of a stamp set of your choice from the February release. So, Jolene5596, as I write that down, please send an email to lailbymail@gmail.com. In the subject line, please put winner and the stamp set that you would like. And then in the body of your email, please put your mailing address and name, and the team will get that sent off to you today. So I just saw something. Someone said, as I had scrolled up, I just saw this. This is not, news isn't my favorite list to make, but it's fascinating to go back and read months later. Okay. Now, this had never occurred to me until I saw how everyone on the design team, at least that had worked with the stamp set so far, I think 4 different people, had used this new stamp set. And they used it nothing in like the news. It was all like their news, like their personal news. So I want to just show you this one because they always knock me off my socks, but this I had never even considered. This is what Laura Lee did with in the new stamp set. She basically made a newspaper, and this is in her traveler's notebook, but she stamped daily with Poe Alpha. She stamped news with news. And then look what she did. She basically made this look like it was a newspaper. And she's telling the story of how she'd been really sick. Highlights, front page news, but what a great idea, right? So if you're like, I like the stamp set, really cute, but I really have no desire to document what's happening in the news. I try to stay away from the news. Well, what a great idea. Make it the news about you or your family or, your world, whatever's happening in your world, which was so clever. Now, there are other examples of how I think 3 other people on the design team used that same in the new stamp set, but it was all personal. No one did it for the news. And what I love about that, actually, maybe Rachel did a little bit of one. What I love about that is that they used the stamp set in a completely different way than I did. And I love that you guys can see different ways of using the same product. And that's why I have a creative team. And that's why they're so good. How'd she do that? So Mary Pat, she has a blog post coming out that'll be on my blog. I think it comes out this week maybe, where she kind of will explain exactly how she did that. All right. So usually my in the news lists have photos. And so I have printed out 4 photos, but they're really 1 photo, but they're really 4 photos, but they're really 1 photo that is 4 photos. For my, I'd say 95% of the printing I do. Thank you, Terry. We're going to take a quick hydration break. If I can find my water. There we go. Hydrate. If you haven't been hydrating, hydrate. Okay. 95% of the printing I do all my printing at home because this I just did this morning. I wish I could be planning in advance, 2 weeks in advance, that I'd know exactly what I was going to do, but we're not there. So I use the Epson PictureMate PM400 printer. Epson PictureMate PM400. That has been sold out. I don't carry it. That has been sold out for a while, probably 4 months maybe. I talked to Epson. I have no affiliation with Epson, but I started getting enough questions because it's the printer that I use and talk about whenever I'm printing photos, that it is not discontinued. They've just had supply chain issues, so they're coming back. The lady I talked to just didn't know when. So Epson PictureMate PM400 printer. In my opinion, the power of that printer really comes into the app, and it's a free app, and it's called Epson Creative Print. The Epson Creative Print does a lot of things. but it has pre-configured templates that you can pick, and then you're basically putting your photos into that pre-configured template. So this pre-configured template looks like, well, basically, we'll just pretend this is it. Looks like this. I can have that pre-configured template for a 4x6 or a 5x7 or a 3.5x5 because that's the size that that printer prints. So I picked that template, and then it has access to your camera roll. You give it access to your camera roll when you download it, and then you just decide what photos you want to go there. Sometimes not in this case because it'll be a little funky if I do this, but sometimes I will use this photo just like that. So an example of where I did that would be that. Now there's more going on here. There's doors and there's more photos inside, but sometimes I use it as just a single photo. Sometimes I might cut it in half because I might want just 2 photos on one piece. Sometimes I might cut it into quarters, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to cut this into quarters. This particular configuration is meant to be printed with your photos portrait style. So portrait, basically vertical, right? But I had 2 photos that I wanted to print landscape style. So knowing that I was using this, I knew I'd need to just rotate those in my camera roll before I added them. So that's what I did here. So that 2 of these will print or cut, and I'll be using them portrait or vertically, and the other 2 landscape or horizontally. If you have that printer and you have not checked out my free class here on my YouTube channel about how to use that Epson Creative Print app, I am telling you, you need to download it. I mean, you need to watch the class. Don't download it. You need to watch the class here on YouTube. I've been using that app for years, and there are some things that I have figured out that make the process so easy and so fun, and lots of tips. So if you have the printer and you don't use the app, the Epson Creative Print app, you should download that from the App Store, whichever, the Android or the Apple, and then watch that free class because I share some things with you that just make life really easy. Yes, Kelly. And I think Amy has left us. Amy has a girlfriend's Valentine get together today. So she said she had to leave right about now. But you will find it here on my YouTube channel. It's called How to Use the Epson Creative Print app. And if you can't find it, shoot me an email at lailbymail.com and I will send you the link. Oh, here's the other thing. You can actually find it on my website under free classes. There's a lot of free classes there. So that may be an easier way to find it. Just free classes on my website. All right, so I want to use all 4 of these photos individually. Now, these are obviously not my photos. I do not have a personal photo of Catherine O'Hara when I, shot her in a beautiful setting. So I have just taken these. I go to Google and I look for what I want, and then I save it to my camera roll and then print them from there. Now, there are more things on my list besides what you will see in these 4 photos. Okay, but I'm not going to use a photo for every list. I'm not going to use a photo for everything on my list. There'd be a lot of photos. So I'm just doing, a selection of photos. All right, so we are now back over here. All right, so left page, right page. Let's take a look at my sketch and see what I was thinking. So let's start out with Catherine. That will go there. I'm going to do something over here. Let's see. Then I was going to do another one here. Let's do this over here. And then we have another one. Let's see. Maybe this goes here. I'm going to have to put a little frame around that because that's going to bother me. Maybe we do this here and we do this one down here. Let's start with that. So when I say I need a frame around that, this one just kind of goes into no man's land, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually outline my photo. Just like I would normally outline a page, I'm going to outline my photo. But when I am writing on a photo, I need to use a very different pen. All right? If you've ever tried to write on a photo before, even with a Sharpie, it's going to kill your Sharpie. It'll start and then it will stop working because of the surface of the photo paper. If you've tried to write with, a pen like that, ballpoint pen definitely doesn't work. The pen that I use for writing on slick surfaces is this one. It is a Zig Photo Signature. It is meant for writing on slick surfaces. So you could write on a magazine. Maybe you have one of my idea books and you want to make notes. This is great for that because it's meant for writing on slick surfaces. The ink is formulated for that. So if I want to write on my photo, I want to outline that just because it's white, right? It needs something. I am going to use that pen. Now, because it's a different type of ink, sometimes I need to just scribble with it a little bit because it needs to kind of get re-energized, right? Sometimes you need to do that with your pens. I find that sometimes I need to do that with that. So now I am going to outline like I normally would. It is quick drying. It does not smear, but it works really well for writing on your slick surfaces. And then I just started that one out. So we got it. Beep. All right. So now that guy is framed. It won't look like he's just now kind of in no man's land, right? All right. So now let's figure out, we need our title. So I think I was going to use that guy. So I also have not used this stamp set yet, brand new. So very quickly, I need to condition it. All right. Brand new stamp set. Your stamps are not necessarily ready to be used right out of the package. You may not have never known that. And that's not my stamps. It's all stamps. Definitely photopolymer stamps. I don't use acrylic stamps, so I don't know about them, but it's not going to hurt if you do it. But the reason why you need to primer condition your stamps before you use them, the way that photopolymer stamps are manufactured, you can end up with a little bit of residue on the stamp. A little bit of residue. You can't see it, but it's there. So if you've ever had a brand new pair of stamps, a brand new set of stamps, brand new stamp, how about that? And you inked it up right away and it doesn't look quite right. It looks really splotchy and things. That's because you probably have some residue on there. Another free class here on my YouTube channel, or you'll find it on my website under free classes, is how to primer condition your stamps before you use them. This is one of the ways. So I just used an eraser. I erase over the top and then I come in and clean. So your cleaning is doing two things. Your cleaning is, if there's any residue left on there that I might have missed, that's going to help get it off. But also it is picking up any of those little eraser tailings, right? We were talking about this before with Pam. Pam said even when she cleans it, she's not getting her eraser tailings off, you know, the little crumbly parts of the eraser. And I said, it's probably because you're erasing too hard. And I just barely erase, so you should be able to just get them off by wiping over the top. So I've wiped those off. Now it's clean, any residue is gone, and I want to now dry those before I start inking them. And the reason I want to dry them is because I use pigment-based ink. Pigment-based ink is water reactive, so if there's any moisture on the stamp from cleaning it, and I ink up the stamp, then my ink, my Distress Oxide, which I use, which is pigment-based ink, may react to that water and moisture. So always a good idea. If I'm not going to use them right away, I don't need to dry them, but I'm going to use them now. So our news. Now I need to decide what color do I want to use here? Well, there's one color that is popping out to me in all three photos, and that is blue, right? You've got blue, the shirt there, you've got blue with the snake there, whatever it is, and you've got blue with the windows there. So I think we'll use blue. Let's figure out what blue we would like to use. Oh, Joy, how fun. You're out buying baby clothes with your daughter. How fun. Amanda said she got the Epson printer after watching me and she loves it. I love that. Hello, Donna Malone. Nice to see you. Is that an eyeglass cleaner cloth? That is a microfiber towel, microfiber cloth. And that you can use any microfiber cloth. I have microfiber cloths that I sell on my website, and I sell like a little kit for you that has, you can either buy it by itself or you can get it in a bundle with the chamois that I use and also the eraser I use. But I use a microfiber towel because what you don't want to do is some towels that you have you'll end up with fibers on your stamp, and then you need to clean it again to get the fibers off because the fibers will prevent the ink from sticking to your stamp where they are. And then you kind of go in a vicious circle, right? It's kind of a big catch-22. You clean and then dry and then more fibers and clean and dry. All right, so we're looking for a blue. Let's see what we want to use. Let's get to the blues first. Broken china. I mean, broken china could work. Mermaid lagoon could work. There's a lot of blues. So maybe salty ocean is probably a little bit closer, right? And here is a reason again to swatch your colors, swatch your stamps, swatch your pens, pencils, inks, whatever it is, markers, because it's much easier to do this and figure out which color you need as opposed to getting them all out, right? I think we're gonna do that. Let's go with salty ocean. Salty ocean. Salty ocean, salty ocean, salty ocean. Where are you? Okay. Oh, there it is. It's on the next tray with the purples. All right, so we have news. I am again right-sizing my stamping block to my stamp. In this case, I am using this guy. That's a little 1x5, and that will make it, let me just get this a little bit closer to me, make it a little bit easier for me to handle because it is right-sized to my stamp. Okay, that is going to go there. Now, I think we're going to be a little bit, what if we do this? We have Let News, we have this little newspaper. I think we're going to use that little newspaper, which means I am going to go to the stamp over to the right. Now, there's something I need to think about here. And it actually will be fine on this one. But I'm going to change it anyway. I am going to reposition this. And I'm going to reposition it so it is all the way to the right. So that when I stamp, I have no excess going on to the next page. And it's not the stamp that's the excess, it's the stamping block that's the excess. This will be way easier to stamp right like this. And where that really comes into play, and you would have noticed this, but I'll just show you. So there's just some things you need to think about when you're stamping. If I was here and I had that excess before I had centered news, and if I had all that excess and I was trying to do this and my excess was way over here, I'm going to have a problem, right? So when I am trying to stamp closer to the edge, I try not to have any excess stamping block. I want my stamping block to just fit on this, if that makes sense. Pull that back out again. And I need to slide in a pencil board. I am giving myself a flat surface to stamp on. Well, this is probably what I'd run into, this extra piece. And so I'd end up with a little weird kind of bump in my stamp where the ink looked kind of funny because it would be, my stamp is going across that. If I put my pencil board in there, now I have given myself a flat surface. It's eliminated that problem. All right, so we're going to move this out of the way. We're going to ink this up and we are going to test it to make sure that we like the color and it's clean and everything is copacetic and ready to roll. And you can pretty much tell, like I'm seeing that's a nice solid, ink is everywhere, right? Oh, that's going to be pretty. And I'm going to test. So we're just going to test on this little guy right here. It's a little blotchy because I really wasn't paying attention to what I'm doing there. But the other thing, when it comes to stamping, the technique is just as important as the paper. So this is regular old thin copy paper. If you are stamping on really inexpensive, and it doesn't have to be expensive, but if you're if you're stamping on really thin cardstock or something, or really thin paper, it can really affect how the stamp looks when it is stamped. So just kind of another thing to keep in mind. Okay, here I am using the line on the insert, the line on the paper, to kind of make sure it's straight. Line that up. Nice even pressure. There we go. let's get that cleaned off, and we are going to get our little newspaper. Now here's something to kind of be aware of. And we talked about this before, but that is really, that ink is really juicy. All right, what I mean by that, it's got really nice solid coverage. That's also a lot of stamp, right? I mean, that's a lot. If I had stamped here and I had done kind of this, but over here, where I had done my list directly on the page versus something like this, I would for sure have shadowing or ghosting back here. So you always, before you stamp, want to think about what happened before, so you don't want to ruin anything you did here, right? So this is an example, and this is going to be a very exaggerated example when we talk about shadowing, because this is regular copy paper. But do you see that? Do you see how you can see that stamping through the other side? Now, it would not be that bad here because this is thicker paper, but that's what I mean when I say shadowing or ghosting. You can kind of see that come through on the back side. All right, now I think we are going to do the little newspaper, but I am going to do the newspaper black and not blue. If you've ever wondered where some inspiration comes for new products, this right here, this highlights with that kind of little thing around it. I was in Waco, Texas in October after teaching at an event, and Vicki and I were there together. And we were shopping in this little store, and I saw this little container, glass container of matches, and it said matches on it. And it had this around the thing that said matches. And I'm like, oh, I love that. I want to stamp kind of like that. I took a picture of it. Right then, I texted it to Amy and Becky, and I said, hey, guess what? I really like that kind of style. Let's put that in a future stamp. And then when we were working on In the News 3, I'm like, oh, I got it. Let's use that kind of design for the stamp set. And we're like, well, highlights would fit there. And that's where that came from. So inspiration comes from a lot of different places. Every once in a while, check your hands for ink. Do an ink check, because if you have ink on your fingers, then that ink is going to transfer it via fingerprint into your project. All right, so now this little guy, I have another little stamping block, right? That's why I have an assortment of stamping blocks, because you've got an assortment of stamps. Right size your stamping block to your stamp. It's one of the easiest ways that you can, I think, improve your stamping, because much easier to handle, especially if it's a little tiny stamp. We don't want a big stamping block. Okay. Just much easier to handle if it's about the size of the stamp. There we go. Cute little newspaper. All right, so now we need to look and see what my sketch said, because I know I wanted to do a little bit more stamping here before we kind of keep going. Are we hanging in there, guys? There is a mini ink. There is a mini ink. It's called Swatch This Mini Inks. So you end up with little, like, 1-inch squares instead of those big guys. And if you're using the little ones, I don't do this. I basically put them in a traveler's notebook. So you can just stamp, all your little minis on a page in your traveler's notebook. You'll see that example if you go to the website to that product. You'll see the example where I've swatched them inside a traveler's notebook. All right, let's take this guy out. I generally try not to use this on regular paper. It tends to really drag, because it's not meant for regular paper. It's meant for shiny surfaces. So just switching out my pen, and let's do our outlining. But as I do my outlining, this is a spread, so I'm not going to, do the outline in the center of the spread. We're just doing it in the perimeter. Those of you that like to use a ruler to do this, I'm like, okay, Good luck when you get to the corners. And then I kind of go, hee hee, chuckle. However, I will tell you, we will have something later this year coming out that is not meant for that purpose, but it would work for it. It works for something else too. But you would have something that you could trace around that would have a corner right here. I'm sorry. When I bend over like that, you're seeing my roots are delayed by a week. So I should have had my hair done a week ago, but I'm waiting until next week because I wanted to have everything fresh for the wedding. Anyway, there's a new tool coming later this year. That's not the purpose of it, but that will be kind of a secondary benefit of it. If you like the idea of outlining, but you would like a ruler, but then you struggle when it comes to the corners. It'll be hey, you could also use it for this. And we're just going to do a little double outline here because we need to visually separate like that. Okay. Now, I also would like to, over here, down here at the bottom, this style we are calling stacked word art. All right. So you first saw this with the winter spring season pass in the stamps and also in the rub-ons, but you will continue to see this style through many of the products that we release throughout the year. Stacked word art. So it's just kind of a fun, in this case, it's all related to the news. Today's headlines, currently front page news, newsworthy, but it's kind of a bigger chunk of a stamp set with a whole bunch of fun things happening inside of it. Stacked words. Stacked word art. So this guy I am going to put down here. And I am going to do this in black. I think it will translate better in black than it will in blue. But if I'm testing, I could always test it with both colors and see which one I like better. Some of the distress oxides, and it seems to happen more with the blues. I don't know why, I'd have to ask them. But they seem to be a little bit juicier than other colors. And so I'm thinking that with all that's happening here, that it might stamp better in black. Get that nice and inked up. And we'll give it a go. Very nice. Very, very nice. So we'll bring this back in, and we always want to ink up again. Unless you're doing like second generation stamping, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. Basically, second generation stamping, when I do this before that dries too quickly, if I can find it. Second generation stamping is when you ink and you stamp once and then you stamp again without re-inking. So then what happens is right here? Oh yeah. Then what happens is it is a little bit more faint. Well, there was too much drying in there, but you can see it really faint. Anyhow, if you're looking for a solid impression, always re-ink. Why did I do that? Always re-ink in between. Don't clean in between. Re-ink in between. Now that I've cleaned that, let me just... Things are flying around in here now. All right, I did not mean to clean in between. So if you're like, wait a minute, why did she clean in between? I didn't mean to do that. You just need to re-ink in between. If you've tested, there's not enough ink on there anymore. But I'll just show you really quick what I meant by second generation stamping. If you're like, no, Lael, I want to know what you meant by that. Not upside down. Oh, that's going to be really weird too because that's that was under it. So second generation would be where I stamp it right away again. See how it's faint? Second generation stamping. Otherwise, you always want to re-ink between your testing and then your stamping. Alrighty, come over here, and this guy is just going to go right here. I don't think we've talked about this yet. You don't want to rock your stamp when you're stamping. Rocking your stamp, and I'm not going to do that here, but basically, let me make sure it's nice and nice even pressure. If you rock your stamp, basically, if you're doing this, kind of like that, sometimes I see people rocking their stamp like this to try to get a really good impression. What you're doing when you're rocking your stamp is you're applying undue pressure at the top and bottom. So you usually end up with blurry up at the top and blurry up at the bottom and not in the center. So there's no need to rock your stamp. Just nice even pressure. Okay. Hey there, Virginia. I like it. What a problem solver. Virginia said, I stamped Glimmer upside down, so then did it right side up as a second generation stamp. It looks so cute, right? I mean, if you've done it, you got to figure out how to make it work. There's no sense in crying over spilt milk or no sense in crying over upside down stamped images. You just embrace it and move on. All right, so now that we have that, let's see where we are again. So we have that, and we have this, and we have this, oopsie, this, and we have this. So what I'm going to do is I will now kind of just be writing around these things. I may do a little bit more stamping, so let's see. And if you don't like you don't like the idea of documenting the news, we'll do the same thing and document your news, right? Document what's happening in your world or your job, right? You know, your career, your job, your family, your grandkids, your kids, your pets, right? Mine would be the same thing every day for Reggie. If you're like, well, this month, Reggie climbed on my desk. Reggie bit my ankles because he wanted attention. He woke me up in the middle of the night to eat 5 times. Last night was really bad because he did it at 11 p.m. and 12 p.m. And then that just wrecks my whole sleep. But you could do it about pretty much anything. Maybe you have a garden. Maybe you want to do this is what's happening in your garden. It's your news, right? Okay. This, there's a little bit too much white around it, so I'm going to just trim a little bit of it down. That printer that we talked about, that I printed my photos on, the Epson PictureMate PM400, some people like the idea of having little small photos like this, right? And you think that you might have to have, actually, hang on. You think that, gosh, if I want little photos like this, I have to have one of those little tiny printers. You don't, right? This I printed and then cut them. So I cut them to get me the photos that I wanted. I like that better because then I didn't like kind of this, you know, look. If I did it like this, it wouldn't be as bad. Maybe I like that better. I just didn't like the way that was kind of leaving all that in the center. I've got these here, those there. No, I still feel like we need to break it up a little bit. So can this go here and this go here? No, this needs to go over here and this over here. Right? There we go. Just sometimes moving things around, move it around till it feels right to you. What feels right to you may not feel right to me and vice versa. So you decide what looks right to you. You know, I always say, you do you. You do what works for you. You're the boss of you. You don't need to do it the way someone else does. You do what you like. All right, there we go. So now, before we start our news, let's see if there's anything else I might want to add, stamping wise. Like I could put this little breaking news right here, right? I feel like that's going to be a lot of writing. We need to break it up a little bit. We'll break up our breaking news a little bit. That could go there. Let's do that. And I think maybe we'll pull in a little bit more blue again, just because all of my writing is going to be black. So we'll just break it up a little bit. Colorize. Whoopsie, that was totally crooked. If you missed me say this before, I find the easiest way to get your stamp straight is to put your stamp down on your work surface and then pick it up with your stamping block, because it's a lot easier to control that than it is your fingers trying to get it straight on your stamp set. I mean, on your stamping block. The TV, isn't that so fun? I knew when we started designing the stamp set, I'm like, I want a TV. I want kind of a cool old-fashioned TV. And I'll show you where the idea for that came from. Actually, I won't show you. I'll tell you because I'll have to find the insert. There was an in the news list that I did earlier this year where I cut a kind of an old-fashioned TV. Actually, maybe twice, maybe two different ones that I used. That I cut from one of like the junk journaling books, and they were really fun to make. I mean, they were really fun to use. So I said, you know what? Let's make our own. Let's make our own breaking news TV. So we did. So there are now 3 in the new stamp sets, and they are still very much in stock because people keep buying them. So if you like the idea of doing kind of an in the news, whether it's your news or whether it is, I don't think, it didn't look like the little E and the W had much ink on them. There we go. If you like the idea of doing in the news, and it could be your personal news or, any news, then you can check those out too. In the news 2, and this is the new in the news 3. There we go. Add a little bit more color that way, right? Okay, before we do our list, we're going to just look and see if we've got anything else. Your senior pup gets up in the middle of the night, then she falls right back to sleep and I toss and turn. Exactly. And the reason that Reggie gets up in the middle of the night, gets me up in the middle of the night, is because he is a social eater. Yep, I said it. He is a social eater, which means when he eats, he wants you to be there. And he does not have a set eat time, except he likes to eat in the middle of the night because he grazes. So he eats, on and off all day. And so there is even a bowl of food in our bedroom. And that's not close enough for the social. He wants you right there. And it's only for the first bite. You don't have to watch him the whole time. And so he wakes me up because he wants me to watch him eat, which is a real bummer. I'm telling you, it's a real bummer. So let's start writing here. Because now I've got these spaces here. We'll see if we end up writing there or not. I need a bullet stamp, and there is a cute little star bullet stamp as part of this stamp set. You probably didn't know that cats could be social eaters, that was even a thing, did you? I didn't. I did not. Oh, I know now. Believe me, I know now. So he woke me up at 11 and then 12. Usually it's 1 and 5. But 11 and 12. And then I woke myself up at 1. And then I couldn't go back to sleep. All right, so there's our little star stamp, and we'll use that for our bullet. And this is just kind of a run-on list, and so I need some kind of something to separate the items on my list. When we talk about right-sizing the stamping block, little teeny stamp, and I forgot to talk about this when I used the flower stamp on the last list. This is a very special stamping block for your little teeny stamps. This is a stamping stylus. This is one of my products. We invented this. And when I say we, I can say we because way in the early days of the pandemic, I was stamping and we had these little stamps I was trying to stamp with, and somebody said, hey, you know what? Try this. Put it on the end of your pen. And I did. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so much easier because our hand is used to this. Because it's just like this, right? Our hand is used to that. And your little teeny tinies, you need a little bit more control. So if you have a little teeny tiny stamping block, much easier. So we did that for a while. And then someone, I think it was Sarah Foss, and I think I just remember that. She said, hey, Lael, you should come up with a product that is a stamping block like that. And I'm like, hey, that's a great idea. We could call it the stamping stylus. And then that is what it is. And up until yet, no one has copied this idea. And I say up until yet because, there's always a first. It'll happen. All right. So my list in no particular order. Warren Buffett. Officially retired. A billionaire, quadrillionaire. Berkshire Hathaway, at the ripe old age of 95. So that's why it hit my radar, right? Whatever, Warren Buffett, whatever. 95. That's a, and this is just an opinion. And I said, I don't do opinion. That is a really old to retire, right? Yeah. So I'm like, well, that was kind of interesting. Kind of hit my radar. All right. Next up on my list, I have Zootopia 2. This movie, I've not seen Zootopia, not seen Zootopia 2, but there's a reason why this hit my radar. Zootopia 2, let me look over here, was the highest grossing animated film of all time at 1.7 billion with a B, $1.7 billion. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. I guess maybe at some point I should watch it because it's kind of a big deal. All right, I wanted to put a little one there. Even though technically it's starting on the next line, I didn't want another kind of bullet. So I just moved it. Let's see. Ice killed Alex Pretty and Renee Good. No commentary, no opinion, that's fact. And that's who those two people are. So I knew that I wanted to do horizontal photos and also vertical photos, and I knew I didn't have a lot of space. So when I Googled, I was just looking for a photo that had two of them in it. That's how I chose what photo to use. All right. In January, there was a mass shooting at a church at a Utah funeral. And again, I won't give any opinion, and that's just a fact. I won't give any opinion in it. Mass shooting at a funeral in Utah. I'll just say that, just to kind of shorten it a little bit. All right, next up on my list is the Justice Department. I got him. The Justice. Oh, I guess I'm not putting any stamps there, huh? I've got too much to write. The Justice Department filed an unprecedented, as I spell that out phonetically, criminal investigation into the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. So the things that appear on my list are just things that appear on my radar. We all have different radars, so we all have different things that might, hit our radar or appear on our list. Let me stop and look at the chat really quick. I love that you guys love the Tylus. Amanda said they went and saw Zootopia 2 weeks ago. And Katie said it's a cool movie. They both are. You should see them. Okay, cool. This is funny. And I scrolled up a little bit because I just saw part of a post that said she needs to go potty. And I'm like, what? And then I read, Virginia, you're talking about your dog. Oh, yeah, I get that, right? And you know what? Here's the deal. I would feel okay if Reggie was old and had to go to the bathroom. I mean, that's okay, right? We take care of our pets. But because he's a social eater and he wants me to stand next to him while he eats, no, I don't feel okay about that. I mean, he needs to eat, but he doesn't need me to be there, and he doesn't bug Nick, just me. All right. Where are we? Oh, Saks Fifth Avenue, a department store. Fifth Avenue. Filed. Whoops, I just put filled. And guess what? Oh, well, I wrote filled. We make mistakes. It's going to still say filled. Chapter 11, bankruptcy. Do you know why Saks is called Saks Fifth Avenue? I don't know. It must be their flagship store is on Fifth Avenue in New York. I didn't know that until Nick and I were in New York in December. I'm like, oh, look, it's on Fifth Avenue. I get it. Saks Fifth Avenue. Okay. Yes, he has trained me. Oh, you better believe it. He is a smart cat. He knows. It's the exact same thing. He either attacks my feet, and that sure as you know what wakes you up in the middle of the night when you get claws or, you know, whatever in your feet. Or he goes up to the window and he does this with the blinds. And the blinds are fabric. And I'm afraid he's going to tear them down doing that. So he does that. And I wake up and I look at him and he looks at me. And if I stay in bed, he looks at me and then he goes back to the blinds and does this. And then he turns around and looks at me again to see what I'm doing. He's got me wrapped around his finger. He knows me. He knows how to get me. All right, let's see. The Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana Hoosiers won the college football championships. And I only follow really University of Utah football. I used to follow Pac-12 football, but now Pac-12 is no longer. So it all is just kind of, you know. So the reason this hit my radar, apparently they used to be really, really, really bad, like the worst losing record in history or something like that. And then they brought in a new coach, and then within a couple of years, completely turned them around, like undefeated season, and then wins the whole thing, and going from like being the worst to being the best in a short amount of time. That's why it hit my radar. The Indiana Hoosiers won the college football championships. All right. So now we're not, we won't do anything around that. We come down to here. And we have former news anchor. I was supposed to say CNN there, but I guess I'll say from CNN here. Don Lemon. That's a really clunky way of wording this, was arrested. And we're just about done, friends. And guess what? I should say this now. We have one more giveaway. 3 lists, 3 giveaways. So while I'm finishing, chat away, because guess what? Giveaway. Virginia said, I visited a friend at her cat. Storm is 30 pounds. He's a giant. Reggie is 14.4 sometimes 14.6, sometimes 14.7 or 8. The reason I know is there's a scale in our bathroom, and when he wakes me up in the middle of the night, then I go to the bathroom, and when I'm going to the bathroom, I pet him and he sits on the scale so I can see how much he weighs. He is not fat. He's big boned. And I'm joking, but serious. The vet sees him and he's like, nope, for his size, he's perfect. All right. 30 pounds is huge. That's hilarious. Her 30 pounds. All right. Let's see. He was arrested by federal agents, but I didn't put that part. There's probably more than 2 people that passed away, but I have 2 people on my list that passed away. Fashion designer Valentino and actress Catherine O'Hara. passed away. Catherine O'Hara, known for her role in Home Alone. She was the mom that forgot Kevin on the vacation. I mean, they all forgot Kevin, but and then she was Moira, the mom in Schitt's Creek. And I didn't swear. It's Schitts. That is the name of the town where the show is filmed, Schitt's Creek. All right, friends. So guess what? Our list is done. Our list is done. What time is it? 1:46. That's not too bad. A little over 3 hours. And we looked at new releases and we chatted. And all right, so here we go. That is our third list, and that is in the news. Oh, guess what I need to do? I need to say this is for the month of January. So really quickly, I am going to pull, that's why I had this up. I'm going to pull this stamp set. So this is the January month by month stamp set. So there are 12 of these, obviously 12 months. So let's see what we'd like to do here. We don't want to do January anywhere in there. We could do January up there. Maybe we just do that. I think that's the best thing to use based on the space that we have left, because I forgot that I was going to do something. I mean, I could do that there, but then I feel like I need to do something over here. And so I think that's what we're going to do. January in Lael's handwriting. Now, normally I'd be like, well, that's silly, Lael. Why would you shouldn't I just write January? But I'd say not if I want to stamp it in that color. I can't write it in that color, but I could certainly stamp it in that color, right? We'll just put that right there. I think that'll be cute. But here's the thing. If you're not sure something will be cute or not, Pat, I do. Hang tight, and I'll show you. Laura Lee, hello. I didn't even know you were here. I had to show everyone your newspaper list. I mean, your newspaper thing that you did, because it's awesome and people loved it. People agreed it was awesome. All right. So January, if you're not sure if you're going to like something, maybe the placement, or maybe you're not sure if you want to use the same color ink or a different ink, this is also where your testing comes in handy, right? So now I tested news before to see if I liked it, and now I can test this right above it and say, do I like the way that's going to look? January news. I think I do, because my other option would be to do it in black, and I don't think I would like the way it would look in black. I think it'd just be like too choppy. So there's another plug for testing, friends. Let's put this in here. Remember, we've got a giveaway going. You think black? Okay, Nancy, so let's do this. Watch this. Let's do this, because we can also test it, right? We can test it. Oh, yes. Thank you, too. If you've not given a thumbs up, if you've been here, if you just got here, if you've been here the whole time, if you left and came back, thumbs up, please. That'd be very much appreciated. So now we can test it the other way. We can test it the other way and see which way we like it. And it will look a little bit different, right? Because we'll just kind of have to pretend. We'll just pretend that it was right there. All right, I wouldn't do both colors. What do we think? Do you want it in black or do we want it in blue? Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. So I'm just going to put this down right here. While you guys tell me what you think. Oh, guess what? Ms. L likes both. Mary likes black. Okay. Or Ms. L says either. Rosie Posey, Laura Lee likes black. By the way, Rosie Posey Studio is Laura Lee. Black, blue. Oh, yeah, you guys are killing me. Black, black and blue, black, 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 black and blue. Black. Black. I think we have, oh, and then there's another blue. Love the blue, love the blue, love the black. I know, I just need to, thumbs up to either. I just need to pick one, right? I think I will do it pops with blue. Can't go wrong with either. Blue, black, winner. I know, right? Okay, what's the winner? What's the winner? Black, blue. I know, right? All right, so as I would be thinking about this in my head, I'm like, okay, so we have black down here, right? So if we do black here, better decide without us. I know, but sometimes it's fun to just, throw it out there. Black for contrast. So I have black here. I have black here. Maybe it will kind of pull it all together if I put black there. Let's do that. Can't go wrong, right? Can't go black with the newspaper icon, right? Can't go wrong either way. Now, if I had decided to do red or something, yeah, that I would not like. I know, because I'd be bringing in another color and I'd be like, ooh, where did that come from? Now, this might seem a little odd to you, but I am having it overlap the blue. right? I mean, I kind of have to because we've got these little loop-de-loos. And if I didn't put on a loop-de-loo, I'd have to go all the way up here. And if I went all the way up there, I'm just going to pretend, I'll show you. We're going to pretend, I know this is upside down, but you'll get the gist. If I was trying not to have the loop-de-loos overlap, I'd have to go all the way up here like this. It's going to be funny because it's going to hit those guys. Well, we'll pretend. It'd be like this. Let's just pretend like it's right there. That would give me trapped white space. And that really is something that, like, to me stands out like a sore thumb. That is why I placed it where I did. And you can kind of see there, you know, my word would have ended there and I would have ended up with all that trapped white space in the middle. So just, you know, sometimes, and that's some things that you learn. You just, if that would not be something that would ever even hit your radar. And you might not have even known it was called that, trapped white space. And you don't need to know what it's called. You need to know if to you it looks good or not. If you do something and it looks weird, there's really usually a reason why it looks weird. In that case, it would be because there was that trapped white space in between. But if it doesn't look weird to you, then guess what? You're the boss of you and you do what you want. You do what looks good to you. We don't do things for, I mean, we shouldn't be doing this. You know, we do this kind of thing because it's fun for us and maybe we're recording, but we're really doing this for us, right? And we're not really doing it for anyone else, to make anyone else happy. All right, so there we go. Our 3 lists we did in the news, we did our what a day, and any of these lists that we did today would be great for just getting started with creative listing. Your kind of, and this is actually a little bit more time sensitive to this time of year. Things I want to bring in 2026 and things I want to take out. And that I'll finish later because we just started taking too much time on that. All right, there was a question, and the question was, do you have a list? I mean, do you have a stamp set about things or something? And I don't remember exactly what the question was. And I said yes. This is the stamp set that would be the closest to what I think you were referring to. And it's called All the Things. All the Things is kind of a mix and match stamp set. So you have my favorite things about, you have things things I'd like to, and things I. And then you're pairing them with these other things. So things I like, things I dislike. If I remember correctly, it's something to do with like things I like or something like that. So that right there would be the closest to what we have to what kind of what you were asking about. Do I put the year on these spreads only once in a while? I never, well, I shouldn't say never. Sometimes I'll do like Feb 26 or something like that. But for me, they all stay together. And so I don't know, like this one says 2025 on it. So somewhere in the book, it would say this one says December 20th, 2025. But normally I don't put a year on it. This one, I mean, really, so this one somewhere will have 26 on it because this is kind of the things in ins and out for 26, although I did write 26 right there. But I always like to date them. So like this guy, I really should put 2026 somewhere. And so we'll just do this. 2026, because now we know it was February 5th, 2026. This one, January news, this one I probably wouldn't put 2026 on. I wouldn't, just because that's me. All right, friends, so let's do our last giveaway, and then I'm going to flip the cameras, and we're going to talk just 2 quick things, and then we will go on our merry way. And I'm going to go do some hard labor in the warehouse, because we're getting ready to move in after the wedding. All right, stop. The winner is Virginia Bush. Virginia, congratulations. You are our 3rd random lucky winner today. Virginia, you have won your choice of stamp from the new release. Please send an email to laelbymail@gmail.com with winner and the name of the stamp set in the subject line that you would like. And the team will get that shipped out to you this week. So congratulations, Virginia, and congratulations to our other winners. All right, let me flip the camera and we'll move the lights, and then we're just going to talk about a few things, and then we will be done. One of the questions I saw was, when is the spring-summer season pass coming up? The spring-summer season pass is releasing on March 5th, March 5, all right? It is launching on March 5th. I will tell you, we significantly increased our numbers because you guys blew me out of the water. We sold out of winter spring right away within 2 weeks. And then had to scramble. We had some amazing suppliers that manufacturers that really like made it happen for us. So we did a reorder. But we will not do that again. I can't put my suppliers through and Amy and Becky through what we went through to make that happen. So what we've ordered for that is what we've ordered. So we'll have it until it sells out, and then when it sells out, it'll be gone. With the season pass this year, you can buy it as a kit, the full thing, or you can also buy everything a la carte. Speaking of that, we have our third free season pass class this year coming up. That is the March Traveler's Notebook Setup, and that is happening on Monday. What's Monday? Monday the 23rd. So in 2 days, Monday the 23rd of February 2026. So that's happening in 2 days. That is a free class. Anyone can come. You do not have to have purchased the season pass, anything in the season pass to attend that class. That is something that I switched up. I opened up for the year. So you will see those free classes on my website, also under free class. You'll see March Traveler's Notebook Setup as a free class. If you want to join us for that and just hang out, or see how I use the product, or hear me talk about the product, or how I set up my Traveler's Notebook for the month, which I've done probably for the last 8 years every month, you can join us for that. We are not listing next Saturday, February 28th, because I will be in Seattle for our oldest son's wedding. So excited about that. Just, oh my gosh, they've been engaged since August of 2024, and it is here. Holy cow, it's like a week away. So we won't be listing next Saturday, which is February 28th. We also will not be listing the Saturday after that, and that is, I think the 6th, 7th, whatever that first Saturday is in March, because we are moving to a warehouse. And let me tell you what, if I try to do this and have no part of moving to the warehouse, I wouldn't do that. I can't. So no listing that Saturday either. Our goal is to have everything moved over that weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So then we're back up shipping again on Monday the 10th. A big one, that following weekend, March 13th and 14th, Friday the 13th and Saturday the 14th. We are celebrating our 6-year listiversary, our 6th year that we've been doing this on Saturdays. That is a week earlier than we normally do it because I will be out of the country following week. So we'll be doing it Friday night on the 13th, and then Saturday the first half of the day on the 14th, because I have a commitment that I can't change that afternoon. Normally we do a whole full day. We're just going to take that full day and part Friday night, part Saturday. If you haven't joined us for one of our anniversary celebrations before, I encourage you, if it works in your schedule, Friday, Saturday, join us. We have so much fun, tons of prizes. I do tons of prizes that day. We'll do some live, we'll do some after party prizes. So if you can't come, you can still participate in the comments of the video afterwards. There'll be a new release, our March release, that Friday. So we'll take a look at the March release. The brand new Listing with Lael idea book will be released that day. And then a pretty big thing is also kind of happens that weekend. And if, I won't tell you what it is. If you've been a part of it before, then you may know or remember, but you'll just want to be tuned in kind of just to your email. If you don't get my emails, go to laelbymail.com, little pop-up. I'll pop up. You want to put your email address in because you want to make sure that you see that announcement because it's a good one. All right, my friends, so I'm off to change my clothes and get ready for some hard labor at the warehouse. Lots of cleaning and painting and lots of things going on to be ready for us to move in. So thank you guys for joining me today. I always think, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do this. I need to be doing something else. That always is what I'm thinking in the morning on Saturday mornings. And I start and I'm like, I'm so glad we did this. At the end, I'm like, I'm so glad we did this. It just, when you run a creative business and you have to be creative sometimes, you don't have time to play. And this is the time that I get to play. And I enjoy it so much and I love hanging out with you guys. And if I didn't have this time, if I wasn't setting aside this time and we weren't together, then I wouldn't be doing the creative play that I need to do to like keep me going, right? Just because I'm a creative person, I need to be creative. And so I always just thank you for giving me this place to be able to do that. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll share pictures on the Facebook group. I'll do just a little